The KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
That's where I am in life. Just that I might get an extra hour or two of activity at night. That's all I need. That's all I'm looking for.
Mine starts really, at the crack of when the alarm goes off, because when I shut off my alarm, it's automated on my phone, and Monday through Friday, it's set to a certain time.
Sure.
About 3 bells, right?
Yeah.
But when I wake up and shut it off this morning, as I did, shut that sucker off, you know what it automatically sets to? Nothing.
Yeah,
there is
baby.
no setting for Saturday.
Yeah.
It's sleep. Sometimes I sleep all the way till like 4:30. No, I can do better than that. I'll force myself to stay awake. I start drinking coffee at like 9 p.m. on Friday nights. I'm not going to bed.
We're still accelerating is what we're doing in our aging right now. We're not slowing down. We're not backing down. And by God, that's a good thing. Which leads me to a question for all of us here. Hey, it's not weird that it really burns when I pee, is it?
Whoa.
As long as it's not bloody.
Yeah.
Well, like what? Well, we'll define bloody.
Well, like a deep red.
Well,
like a hippo's milk. If it's pink, you get some blood in there.
I don't know, man. I just read this. The European Congress of Clinical Microbiology says older people have way more STIs than they used to.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, hey, wait a minute. Actually, as does the CDC, in the last 10 years, people aged 55 and older have over double the amount of sexually transmitted, infections. They used to call them diseases. STDs are now STIs.
What happened to the word venereal? I thought that was it's not something I wanted to get. Venereal?
It's that word, venereal, the single greatest roadblock to unprotected sex there ever was. That word is horrifying.
Yeah.
Saying, hey, watch out for that STI. I'll be like, oh, it's an STI. I'll take a pill. You say the word venereal, I think to myself, put on more pants.
Yeah.
Just put on extra pairs of pants.
Yeah. I remember it was in like junior high sex ed that we did a slideshow and they would show us canker sores and be like, oh my God. But yeah, boner pills. Boner pills.
That's what does it.
Old dudes are getting boners, and then we stick everyone into a retirement community. I used to look at, didn't that seem like a prison? You'll never get me into one of those. Tried to get my grandmother into a retirement community or assisted living or something like that, kicking and screaming all the way. But now it's like, yeah, let's go. At what age can I retire, and at what age can I get into one of those bad boys and just start scrogging every day?
I mean, it really, this rise in elderly or at least post-middle-aged STIs, it does speak to the impact of now, what are we, 20, 25 years into Viagra and those things being readily available. But it makes you look back and go, well, you always hear these stories about like Benjamin Franklin and people who fathered children into their 80s back then. And you're thinking, A, you're still alive at 80, and B, you're still able to, function. Like those guys are like superheroes. I mean, that's in those days, like John Tyler, who I believe was the 10th U.S. president. He still has a living grandson today.
Wow.
John Tyler has a living grandson. He was the president in the well, put it this way. He had a child like in 1859 or something when he was in his late 70s or 80s. That child had a child in the 1920s when he was in his 70s, and that kid is still alive.
It's over 170 years ago.
That's just presidential spunk is what I'll call that. There's something about people that get to the highest office in the land. They could just keep going for a while. I mean, that's just impressive. So
they get the good care, don't they?
They really do. Even back then, go figure. I think it was a lot of gobo root in their diet. Yeah. Gobo root. I don't even know what that is. I know it's a thing.
You know that stuff the FDA won't quite get out to the larger public. They save that for the presidents. They're like, well, we're not going to release this for about another 15 years, but here's a bottle for you, Prez.
Yo, heck yeah. That's why it's good. More than anything else, that's why the whole trick to being the president is just cashing in on those health benefits. I mean, that's really the key. That's you're like, why are these people wrong? Why do they put themselves through it? Why do they get into that horse race? The health benefits are incredible.
Yeah, and you get Secret Service. You're never going to be alone. They'll always be with
that's
you
what it is.
to the very end. Your little buddy group there. Your little card club.
Basically, what I'm really all I wanted to say is let's just keep on rocking, oldsters. We're having more fun than ever, and by God, we've earned it.
Well, not going to be rocking at the Saints opener tonight. Probably most people, if you had tickets to get over to the Saints opener tonight in St. Paul, know that it's been canceled. I don't know if you guys have heard about Ozempic. You know, they have a pig mascot. Everybody knows that, St. Paul Saints. They've had it for many years.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
It's the ball pig, and there's some controversy. And the Twins got their season started. Let's talk about that a little bit here at 6:17. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show, and we are back, as are the Minnesota Twins. Look at those standings. Hell yeah. We're on top of the table, as they say, baby. Ain't no stopping us now. All right, do you want the good news or the bad news?
Oh, man.
Let's start with the good news. Let's start with the good news, okay? Royce Lewis, badass. Boy, if this season couldn't come quick enough, this kid is like thrown himself into the MVP conversation in the offseason after what we've seen him do. No, I mean, just leading into the season, there was, this could be the year. This could be the year. And yesterday in Kansas City in the season opener, he steps in for the first at-bat of the season, and it sounded like this.
Changeup. And the 0-2. A swing and a drive into left field and deep. Back it goes and gone! Royce Lewis, welcome to 2024. An 0-2 opening day home run to left. The stage certainly not too big. The lights definitely not too bright. 423 feet, and the Twins are on top. 1-0. An open changeup.
Yeah.
Well, the lights have never been too bright for anybody doing anything in Kansas City, first of all. But secondly, okay, here, just to swipe at my friends in KC. So here's the thing. There's the good. Royce Lewis, oh my God, how's he going to respond to the pressure of suddenly the whole league now being served notice? This kid's for real. Well, he stepped in and just went yard at his first at bat. And then you have to look at the history. Let's go back. 2021 and 2022, not one but two torn ACLs that held him back. And then that left oblique strain. And then last season, the left hamstring strain that held him to only 58 regular season games. And then yesterday in the third inning, Carlos Correa hits a double. Royce Lewis is on first and thinks, oh, I'm going to stretch this bad boy. I'll get home. Or maybe I'll just pull up limping at third base because, yes, again, Royce Lewis is on a baseball field and therefore probably going to get hurt. It kills me to see this kid struggling yet again. He said afterwards, I just felt like it was a little cramp. I tightened up as I was running. Clubhouse examination revealed a right quad injury. There's an MRI taken, and we'll find out what happens. I just can we get leg transplants anytime soon? Can we get this guy some new legs?
Yeah, I have something, man. Get him. I don't know. It's I don't know what we need. Just a pinch runner right away.
It's heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking, and I mean, we got Buxton on there as well. He's playing center field and leading off, or he did yesterday, and he's going to be in the lineup and playing center field. And you just get nervous because we've got some bats out there. But actually, I thought it was. I listened to a bit of the game and then came back, and I thought, okay. I thought it was a cramp. I thought one of the broadcasters had said, I just cramped up a little bit. And I went, first game of the season, KC, maybe the weather's a little cool down there. Now I'm hearing this from you and just shaking my head and rolling my eyes and wondering now what. Correa, by the way, was he 3 for 4 yesterday? A couple of RBIs? Not bad.
Pretty incredible. I still can't get over the fact that he played almost a whole season last year, like 130 games with plantar fasciitis. Anybody that's ever I've had that. Let me tell you something, man.
That. It's not like this doesn't go away.
No, it doesn't go away. And I know he's got professional trainers and people working with him every day. But, man, plantar fasciitis, it's the kind of thing where if you ever have it, you think to yourself, what can I get done today from a hammock?
Oh, wow.
Because you're not walking. You don't want to do anything. It's just like, I'm sorry. Did someone run a railroad spike through my foot and I missed that somehow? I don't know how anybody does anything with plantar fasciitis. So, and of course, Correa with, my God, talk about some injuries. So let's just hope that these guys can stay healthy because the bullpen's been buffed up pretty nicely. Got a really solid bullpen, top to bottom. Pablo Lopez, is a Cy Young candidate. I mean, there's a lot to be excited about this team if they stay healthy, and that's with the Twins right now. That's like a capital if. Man, exciting, but then also just a reminder that Royce Lewis. I don't know what the guy's getting. That he stretches to a level that none of us could even comprehend. He's got people focusing on his legs. Every square inch of that man's legs are being examined and taken care of and treated and concerned about. I mean, it just kills me.
Fired, I guess.
What's that?
Get a new leg team.
Can we get a leg team? Can we get a special leg team in just for this kid? I want to see him live up to his. Are you ready?
I'll go in and I'll help those guys.
Candace Wheeler, I'm here for Royce Lewis's legs. She walks in with a can of Nair. Let's get started. I like them soft. Somewhere, really, boy. That's that. We need to stop talking about Candace getting hairless legs back in shape. That's
don't get me excited.
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
I gotta stay cool. It's only 6:27.
We have a responsibility as professional broadcasters. Oof.
Do we?
Oh, I'm so excited, though, for next
kidding?
Thursday. I had this terrible, terrible dream, though, last night where I didn't have enough tickets for the Richfield gang to get into the stadium. And then Lindsay Lohan showed up at my house, and I was like, well, I got to go. She's got to go. I got to get her to the game. And so I was freaking out. I was trying to make deals and stuff so I can get her tickets and my friends' tickets. And I had to choose over her and my friends. It was a nightmare.
I've had Lindsay Lohan nightmares, but they were not about who's getting what ticket.
Yeah, I was awake for it. It was a movie, I think.
Yeah. I was Speaking like, no, my Lindsay Lohan nightmare is getting stuck in an elevator with her. Lady, you better have some pills in that person. That better be cotton in those pill bottles, and you better give it to me right now because I ain't listening to you Babylon.
Hey, whoa.
Sorry.
All right, we'll let you guys duke it out about Lindsay Lohan at the break here. We'll be back. Mike Evans taking a 3-day weekend. That's all right. We can handle a movie or new movie Friday or whatever the hell it's called here in just a few minutes. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's normally time for the Mike Evans Hollywood Report, but our friend is taking a 3-day weekend. It's Good Friday and Easter Sunday and whatnot. But that doesn't mean we can't talk about just a couple of movies on the very near horizon. I don't know, guys. I can't sit still when I read that Godzilla versus Kong: The New Empire is coming out.
Yes,
they're teaming up.
This is the fifth. Yeah. This is the fifth Kong Godzilla MonsterVerse movie. I mean, man, it's like an embarrassment of riches.
This is what I get excited about now that we get all that Oscar crap out of the way and get down to some real entertainment. Because this is a movie theater movie. But the last one I thought was a little disappointing. I thought the plot line was a little thin.
It's tough. See, I'll come clean. I haven't seen any of them. And I won't see this one until I've seen the first 4 in order because I like to do things in an orderly fashion. So check back in with me on the 12th of Never, and I'll tell you what I think of this movie.
No. You head off to the listener or something. Asphalt City, perhaps?
No. No, I will be. I'm already sold on In the Lands of Saints and Sinners for 2 reasons. Liam Neeson, that's all you got to say. Yeah. I've got a very specific set of skills.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, Liam Neeson had this career for 25, 30 years where he's just like the dad, the uncle, maybe the shady banker. And then somebody looked at him and went, let's make that guy someone who kills a ton of people. And it worked. Yeah. I've never understood it. He's great. And he's the same guy in every one of these movies. And they're all perfect. This one is good. He settles down in a very remote coastal town in Ireland. Done. That's all I need to know. You're going to show me shots of the Irish coastline and a chance that Liam Neeson, and it's set in the 70s, so you know there's going to be a lot of shotguns as opposed to like automatic rifles. Old school violence. Like, come on. Are you kidding? His past Here's what I love when they say his past catches up to him. Is there anything better than hearing about a guy whose past is about to catch up to him?
Unless it's me.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm talking about in a trailer, in a movie setting. That's always pretty exciting.
Or the word revenge.
It's the best. Are you kidding?
Yeah. I think I'm just going to go back and watch the first 3 Takens again.
Please do. And you know what you could do? You could edit all 3 of those. You could take those 3 films, the actual film, chop them into a bunch of 2-foot lengths, and then repurpose them all together without any rhyme or reason, and it would still make sense.
I had no idea there were 3 of those movies.
Taken. I don't know if there is either. I only watched the first one, but I know there was a second one.
I know there's at least 2, and
dude, those movies are so. Well, I only saw the first one, but it was crazy, and I literally watched that right before my friend Felicia and I went to Europe, and I was like, so
"Oh my
scary.
God!"
Were you disappointed you weren't kidnapped? I mean, did you feel like, hey, what's wrong
it
with
would have
us?
been nice to be saved by a hot man. Yeah, hot older man. Yeah,
I love that. I love that his daughter calls. She goes, "Dad, we're in Paris," and they're chatting, and she goes, "Someone's in the apartment," and he immediately goes, "Listen to me. Get under the bed. Tell me what's happening." It's so. But I'm watching it and going, "This is the most absurd thing I've ever seen." And holy crap, I'm so here for this. It's a great, it's a great blending of all that's right and wrong with movies for me.
Right. I think he started doing these movies after his wife died. Just by tipping over to ski resort. I forget his actress wife.
Yeah.
And, so then he could do the movies he wanted to do. Didn't have the old lady breathing down his neck. You should do something artistic. He goes, nope, I'm just going to kill people.
Man, it's working.
Set of kills, yeah. Skills,
Here's speaking of your past catching up with you and things, whether they're working or not. 7-Eleven has a new hot dog flavored sparkling drink. I'm going to say that again. A hot dog flavored sparkling drink.
Yeah, hot dog water.
You're telling me that won't catch up with you? You're telling me that won't kick you in the ass? It's called the Big Bite Hot Dog Sparkling Water. Yes, and it's... they're trying to. What they're saying is basically this is like one of our hot dogs with mustard and ketchup in liquid form. It's a sparkling drink if you don't have time to stop and eat a hot dog. I'm not making this up.
I think it's wonderful.
Really?
Yeah,
At
you can
7-Eleven?
mix it. You can mix it with a little bit of Bloody Mary mix, a little vodka. I think there's lots of possibilities.
My God.
A little Clamato.
Just got to find a 7-Eleven.
Okay,
Minnesota, one of only 14 states without a 7-Eleven.
If you walked into, thank you for that. I didn't know. If you walked into a 7-Eleven and you see that bin of hot dogs and they're just in that hot dog water, are you going to dip a mug in there and just sip the water?
Well,
I don't think so.
I don't think it's going to taste like the water. I mean, there's all sorts of funky
It's
flavors.
actually hot dog water flavored. That's right.
I thought it was just hot dog flavored.
It's hot dog water flavored. Call me when they have bong water flavored.
Oh, I drank that once.
Yeah, everybody's had. If not that, everybody's at least spilled it on their jeans.
Oh no! I took a big swig. I might as well have downed some liquid corpse.
Oh my God!
Liquid corpse.
The only thing worse when you're pumping gas and sometimes you get 1/8 of one drop of gas on your hand and then you smell it for a week. The only thing worse than that is when bong water spills. It's just like, oh my God. All right, let's look back. March 29th, on this day in 1982, the legend was born when freshman Michael Jeffrey Jordan of the North Carolina Tar Heels hit a game-winning basket in the national championship game. The Tar Heels beat Georgetown 63-62. Dean Smith ran a play for a freshman to take an 18-footer. That changed the entire dynamic of basketball. Jordan crossed the Rubicon, never looked back. I was watching that game with a bunch of friends. I was a junior in high school. And for those keeping score at home, about an hour after the game ended, that may or may not have been the first time I was ever fully nude in the presence of a girl.
Oh.
So you could tell me all you want about it. Remember when Jordan hit that shot? And I'm like, yeah, that's second on the list.
What a day.
2 days later, 1984, Robert Ursay became the greatest villain in Baltimore history, which is really hard to do. I mean, that city is sideways. But he moved his team, the Baltimore Colts, to Indianapolis overnight in a fleet of Mayflower moving trucks. Literally, as darkness fell, he had the entire operation packed up and moved. The sun rose in Baltimore, and the team had literally disappeared, and I have rooted against those Colts with every bit of passion in my soul ever since. Bastard.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's Friday, March 29th. It's Good Friday, March 29th. It's a nice holiday weekend for a lot of us. Maybe not all of us, but a lot of us. We certainly hope everybody's feeling pretty good about that fact. About an hour from now, we're going to make you feel better because we're going to give somebody some Chris Stapleton tickets. We're going to do, well, it's Friday. We can't, there's no spoiling. You know what Friday is. It's Beat the Toaster Day, Brian.
Oh, my God. Really? On a Friday? All right, that's all right. Let's do it. If you can't get out of it, get into it. Bring it. You're worse, Tony. Or your best.
About an hour from now, Tony Lee will the dark side of Tony Lee will be on full display for everyone to listen.
Oh, it feels so good.
It does feel good. And at the end of the day, you get some burnt toast out of it. It's fantastic.
I hope you're taking my category I suggested into consideration.
Do you want to share what that was, or do you just want to wait and find out live on the air?
No, we decided it wasn't good enough. I suggested name animals that you can shave, and then Tony was like, well, technically, you can shave any animal.
Right.
Yeah.
I was going to argue.
If you're going to shave a fish, go with the scales, however.
Yeah, I would suggest sticking to mammals, just as a first thought, the ones with hair.
Shave
but otherwise... Yeah, I don't think you're going to go far with a reptile shaving system. No. Really, they're going to get crispy on you. They're going to turn and snap. That's all I'm suggesting.
Well,
Candace, when you think of shaving animals, who comes to mind first?
Don't say me.
I was thinking like really, 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 really furry ones.
Okay.
Orangutans.
Yeah.
The long hair. Yeah.
Bears.
The yaks.
Buffalo.
What would a yak look like? He's supposed to just be like the size of a sheep.
Be pretty great. Chauncey Gorman has one shaved leg because he had surgery a couple weeks ago.
How's it doing?
They before they go in there, and it's just on his ankle, all the way at the bottom of his leg. That joint, not the knee, but the ankle. But they shaved the whole leg. And it still just looks crazy. And he's got a big bandage on it. And they're like, we got to make sure he doesn't play with his bandage. He hasn't even noticed. But that part of his body that he can reach that's been shaved, he can't keep his tongue off of it. He's like, and I think about it because I've shaved my head on several occasions over the years. And a crisply shaved head just feels great. I just can't take my hand off of it when I do that. Yeah. And I think it's the same thing for him. He's just like, I don't know, something about the shaved hindquarter that really feels good on my tongue.
Yeah.
Skin. If I could lick my own bald head, I'd probably do it.
I'm picturing it.
Yeah. Everyone talks about if they could lick parts like the way a dog can. I'm shifting it. I'm going going straight to the bald head. Yesterday at Minneapolis St. Paul Airport, little incident on the runway. Thankfully, I say thankfully because this is the kind of thing you hear, and it could only be worse. 2 Delta Airlines planes clipped each other. Wings came into contact. They were both just taxiing very slowly. Like both planes had just pulled away from their gates, and somehow the wings had a little bing. They both returned to their gates. Everybody was deplaned safely and moved on. One flight was going to Palm Beach. The other was going to Tucson. That's 2 planes full of people who were just looking for some warm weather. Yeah. And then, man, there's nothing worse I'm sorry, this is going to be a 5 or 6 or 8 hour delay because it's not like they just immediately put you on a whole new plane. They have to disperse these people probably throughout a few planes, I would imagine. But Delta said they reaccommodated everybody. They feel bad about it. They called it a low-speed wingtip contact. Man.
Yeah, Chad Selman, local guy, and I don't have the audio. I imagine they just used a quotation, but in the story I'm looking at, says, well, accidents happen. If this is going to be my airline accident, I'll take it. Love where you're coming from, Chad. Love the attitude, but no, accidents happen. No. Accidents happen when we're driving around. Got a little close to someone. Oops, bumped into him. A little fender bender in the parking lot there at Target. Accidents happen. Yeah. I don't want an accident to happen out on the runway. It reminds me, My cousin, Thad Bothwell, it's a nationally ranked bull rider out there in South Dakota, was headed off to the Nationals in Las Vegas, and his plane crashed. They flew him out there in a little private plane, him and a couple of the bull riders. Plane goes down. Cause of the accident, the plane ran out of gas. The plane ran out of gas from South Dakota to Vegas. In other words, someone didn't top it off. And someone in the family says, well, things run out of gas. Happened to me the other day in the pickup going down the lane. I ran out of gas. I'm like, Nick, yeah, that's fine. You coast off to the side of the road, and you've got to walk back home and get a gas can. They don't run out of gas when you're in the air. That's not an acceptable accident. But, yeah, just, got a little too close to the wings. A couple of pilots pissed at each other, maybe. I'm going to move it over. You move over. I'm not moving over. Tarmac rage.
When I first saw this story, it was a tweet, and somebody retweeted it, and they wrote on their tweet, someone's getting fired. And I had to say to myself, no, they're not. Do you know how hard it is to get fired from Delta Airlines? I do know, okay? Yeah. Because I have a great friend of mine for over 30 years. We used to play pickup basketball together, like literally 35 years ago. And then it turned out he was an attorney. Who knew? And then he's an attorney for Delta, one of my close friends to this day. And he, for years, was the guy who, when somebody would be fired from Delta, they would inevitably then sue Delta. Like, hey, you can't fire me. This is wrongful termination. And then he was the lawyer they sent in to deal with that. And occasionally he would share some details, no names, but he would go, oh, this case is crazy. And then in the course of those conversations, and with very good reason, corporations have to really, really, really work hard to fire you because, for years they were able to just jerk people around. But what I'm getting at is you have to be written up multiple times. There has to be every warning imaginable for you to be terminated. And again, that's a good, sign of a good union, et cetera. But sometimes you have to be fired. What I'm leading to is the craziest case that he ever told me about. 2 Delta mechanics in Phoenix finished a shift at their airport. They're airline mechanics. They walked into the terminal in their work clothes, like the jumpsuits that they repair airplane engines with, and went to an airport bar. With their identification, like their ID tags that give them access, they just walked into a bar. It was like a Sunday night, and it was 10 p.m., and they figured, who cares? No one's going to mind. There's red eyes to the East Coast, so the bars are still open. And they just sat down and got hammered and then went back to their hangar, fired up a Delta jet, and tried to take off.
Hey,
okay.
This is a true story. And by the way, it was all over the news at the time. You can Google it. These guys brought an airliner out onto a runway.
Hell yeah, they did.
And they were trying to get clearance from the tower. And imagine being like, wait, what is this flight? And there's 2 drunk mechanics operating a plane. And they sent the police, there's like a police cars, airport police, they surround the plane and then get these guys out. And they sued for wrongful termination.
Oh, man. I wonder.
They were like, you can't fire us. We were drunk. We didn't know what we were doing.
Oh, man. I that never worked for me in radio, but I suppose
yeah, right.
I wasn't working for a union. I don't know if you guys heard, a week ago, Delta pilot got 10 months in jail for drinking before a flight from Scotland to New York.
Oops.
I don't know what his blood alcohol was, but they got him at the gate with 2 bottles of Yag, and one of them was half empty. Maybe his job will be waiting for him when he gets out. I don't know. But.
I tell you what, man. I mean, I'm all for things like autopilot, but that's not the point. That doesn't mean go have a belt before you take off.
Oh, best not to.
No, probably not to.
I'll take the belt for you. Give me the bottle of Yag. You get in the cockpit and get us there.
We talked about the fact that the Twins are now 1-0, baby, on top of the Central standings. Yeah. So baseball season is underway. The other Minneapolis team playing right now, the Minneapolis Timberwolves, are a solid top-to-bottom basketball team, and they will have a playoff run this year of note. I do believe that to be true. I know their history, but this is a very different look. A very different looking team. In fact, this team is so good that owner Glenn Taylor has gone back on his idea, his plan to sell the team. Remember, a couple years ago, he made a deal with Alec Rodriguez and a guy named Mark Lohr to take over the team over it was back in 2021. He sold the team for $1.5 billion, which was under market value. Now, Glenn Taylor, to his credit, and there's not a lot of things I give him credit for, he wanted to make sure the team would stay in Minneapolis. That's cool. Good for you. And so these guys, so he had to kind of took a little money off maybe the value because, one of his things was, look, I won't make you pay top dollar, but you have to promise to keep the team in the Twin Cities. That part's cool. But now, over a few years, apparently the new buyers, again, one of them is Alex Rodriguez, they missed a recent payment. And Glenn Taylor goes, okay, the deal's off. Yesterday, he's like, hey, you know what? I'm not going to sell the team after all. And then he said, well, we've got a good team here. I want to stay around for it. I mean, he's just flat out saying, well, now that we're really good, I think I'm going to stick to this. I think it's pretty simply that he realized, wait, I can get way more for this team. Right now, last summer, Michael Jordan sold his team, the Charlotte Hornets, for $3 billion. The Charlotte Hornets are the worst team in the league by far. Yeah. And they sold for $3 billion. And this guy was going to give the team up for half that? I don't think so. Huh. The NBA has plans to expand very soon. It's the worst kept secret. Seattle and Vegas are both going to get teams. The league will go to 32 teams. And the buy-in for those new franchises, they're saying, is $4.5 billion each.
Oh, my God.
$4.5 billion. So I think Glenn Taylor simply looked at the math and went, what am I doing? A, we're a real solid playoff team. We have a chance to win the West. And B, 1.5. No, I'm going to hang on to this. But this is like unprecedented stuff, too. I mean, like in NBA circles, everyone's like, wait a minute, you're just backing out of the sale? I mean, this is a big one. Of course, A-Rod is going, that's not the case. We have fulfilled our obligations. We have the necessary funding. But at the same time, there was a $600 million payment due on Wednesday that apparently did not go through. So it's he said, they said, they're all haggling. Maybe Taylor's just trying to figure out how to add a couple of dollars to the back end deal. But this is going to be a story that just gets weirder and bigger as it goes. I mean, it just broke yesterday, like right after we got off the air. But it's simmering, and it's about. I have a feeling it's going to get really weird before it makes sense.
It's almost like these guys at the top of the food chain in the corporate world are some sort of psychopath. I'm not suggesting Glenn Taylor is, but I am looking at a story here. The highest percentage of jobs that contain psychopaths, and that one's in there. I mean,
okay, great.
Don't miss the $600 million payment. I mean, you've got to, these things have to be done on time, and don't give him the opportunity because he's a billionaire. And billionaires get to be billionaires by, at some point, somewhere along the line, they've got to crawl over someone. They've got to do something that the rest of us would be like, come on, man, really? Can you give me till Thursday? You know what? I'll have the rent for you next week. But yeah, a story to be followed. My guess is he's going to end up getting more money out of this if he has the high ground. So we'll follow that all the way into the playoffs with the Timberwolves. Yeah.
Sorry, I was going to say really quickly, speaking of the psychopath billionaire, I had a buddy who played for the Tennessee Titans, Jake Scott, offensive lineman, and I don't mind saying who he was because he's retired now. He doesn't care. And he was telling me stories about Bud Adams, the owner of the Titans, would walk into the offices and he would literally go, what kind of light bulbs are these? And he goes, where do we buy them? Let's see if we can get a better deal on light bulbs in the offices.
Oh, I love a cheap billionaire.
Yeah, he's like, oh, well, that explains why you have $1 billion. You're literally walking up to a person who's an intern and going, how much are we paying for these light bulbs?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Good call. The jobs with the highest percentage of psychopaths. I think we tipped one off. And then the job with the lowest percentage of psychopaths. Maybe you fall into one of these. We'll get to it here about 7:27. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. And we just heard Peter Frampton. I want you to show me the way. And, that little talk box he's working right there. The Pete Frampton, I call him. Pete Frampton talk box. Frampton comes alive this Monday at the State Theater, as you probably know. Listen for chances to go to the show all weekend. And you're going to hear talk box songs from more classic rockers here on Minnesota's Classic Rock 92 KQRS. You got Joe Walsh, Aerosmith, Nazareth, Bon Jovi, a lot of talk box classics, but most people do associate it, and I think appropriately with Pete Frampton. I call him Pete Frampton. Petey Frampton, possibly? Do they call him Pierre in France? Pierre Frampton's my favorite. I doubt it. He's probably just Peter to most people.
I think probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Pete Frampton. I'm still trying to get used to that one. Like I said, my mechanic, Pete Frampton.
Yeah, I love that idea, man. Like, oh, hey, what's up, Pete Frampton? Or the Greeks, Petros Frampton. That's what they go with him.
I bet he corrects people when they say, hey, Pete, unless they're close friends. Like somebody came up for a selfie. First of all, he wouldn't take it with you. Secondly, if you say, hey, Pete, no, it's Peter.
I'll tell you one thing about Peter Frampton. I've spent a little time with the guy. He's a complete, absolute psychopath.
What makes it?
No, I'm sorry. No, you know what he is? Honestly, he's the nicest guy in the world. He's the antithesis of a complete psychopath. I'm sorry. I knew it was one or the other. No, he's a really, really, really gracious and very sweet man, in all sincerity. Just a super calm and genteel gentleman of the highest order. But he is, I guess you would say, as far as Peter Frampton Industries goes, he would be the CEO, which makes him very much not the standard CEO because, Brian, as you mentioned in our last segment, the official definition of psychopathy is a personality disorder where a person has, here's the list, shallow emotions,
check,
no empathy,
check,
no fear, and
check,
no guilt.
Check.
And a psychopath is also egocentric, manipulative,
sure,
impulsive,
all the
irresponsible,
well,
and antisocial. There's your psychopath checklist.
Hello, Brian.
Yeah, wow.
So apparently Brian is the CEO of the morning show because a new study has found the job with the highest percentage of psychopaths is in fact CEO.
What do you call a CEO with no power? Just an a-hole, I think.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
We've all of the morning show.
Well, it's like if you're weird and rich, you're eccentric, and if you're weird and poor, you're just weird.
I'll keep reading down that psychopaths list. By the way, I think I fall into one of these.
What you fall into one of what?
These psychopaths. I'm looking at the top 10 psychopathic jobs.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. CEO's the top of the list. But here's the other. Oh, my God. I hadn't looked farther enough down. We're just walking ourselves right into a bear trap. Here's the 9 following. Lawyer. We've all known.
Sorry, Mitch.
We've all come across an attorney or two where you're like, this guy's out of his mind. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Number 3 on the list. Top 10 jobs with most psychopaths. Media personality.
Number 3, really?
Wow.
Whatever.
Wow. Irresponsible, impulsive, manipulative, yes. Egocentric, sure. But antisocial, no way.
No, well, for 20 hours out of the day, I can be. I love the next one on the list. This really makes a radio station fun to work at. You've got media personality 3 on the list, and a number 4?
Salesperson.
That's about it in the building here.
Yeah. That's the elevator you definitely don't want to get stuck. Two on-air jocks and 3 people out of sales in an elevator. That's going sideways quickly. By the way, the next on the list, and this is who I want on my. This is who I'm all for this surgeon. I want my surgeons to be psychopaths.
Yeah.
I am not interested in someone opening me up who has an ounce of or
doubt
empathy or fear or guilt. No. My brother Jim had 2 operations on his spinal cord. He had these bizarre cysts on his spinal cord 2 different times, and had them removed, and that is scary as hell. And they did a great job. And I was in Baltimore with him for the first one. And I've never met a weirder man in my life than that surgeon.
Oh, funny.
And I mean, he couldn't make eye contact. He looked at his shoes when he spoke, and he talked about this, and he was just completely. It was like it's not that he didn't have bedside manner. He lived in a world where bedside manner didn't even exist.
Mm-hmm.
And he opened up my brother's spinal cord and removed a cyst and put it back together, and my brother was fine. And I was like, that's my guy right there.
Yeah, you want a guy who won't flinch.
I couldn't have cared less. He looked at my brother's spine like I look at Tetris.
Right.
Like I'm just solving a puzzle here. And so I'm all for that, man.
I know someone in the nursing industry for a long time, and then hospital administration, and from time to time complain about surgeons. They're so arrogant. I'm like, yeah, it's a surgeon. Yeah, operating on all the stuff inside. I want my surgeon to be super arrogant, super confident, just that they can get away with it. And then the nurse, you bring the bedside manner. That's how it all works out. But yeah, you've got to... Yeah, there can't be any doubt. I don't want the surgeon going in there that's, a little passive-aggressive or just not quite sure of themselves,
And speaking of egocentric psychopaths, remember the movie where Alec Baldwin played the surgeon and he's on the witness stand? He goes, "You think I have a God complex? I am God."
Right. Yeah. Well,
I was like, yeah, good.
Kind of.
Oh, you're going to open my body up and take something out of my brain? Please be a psychopath. Yes. Yeah. I don't want you to be like my nice neighbor who will do anything for me. I see you got a tree down. Can I come over and help? I'm like, no.
I was put off a little when I had my leg broke out in Montana. Broke in 4 places. I go in. My surgeon, it's right on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, I'll keep moving along here. But he's Australian, bald, and like a power lifter. In walks this guy that looks like Mr. Clean, And he's like, "All right, mate. Broke your leg in 4 places. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to drill that sucker back together. I'm going to put a titanium hockey stick in there," slaps me on my other leg, and he's just sitting there. He's like, "Let's get this done, right?" And puts out his hand like we're handshaking on it, like we're making a deal there. And I'm like, I wasn't expecting some, gym rat / Australian surfer dude. I kind of wanted someone stuffy with, glasses to come in the lab coat and a tight tie, but he got the job done. Yeah, he took it on. I was like, all right, I hope he's not kind of drunk when he gets here, but nailed it, by the way. God dang it, it's bothering me. I can't remember his name, but it's not germane to the point. But
anytime you get to throw Jermaine out there, it's worth it.
Jackson?
Because I go right to Jermaine. Jackson, I think about Jermaine Jackson, and it makes me happy. Also on the list, one scary one, police officer. I'd like my police officers not to be psychopaths, but right behind them, clergymen. I'd like them also not to be psychopaths, but you can't always get what you want. You do have to ask yourself, what is it in someone that makes them want to get up in front of a bunch of strangers wearing a robe and tell them they have the secret to life all figured out? A lot of times it's a heart of gold, and a lot of times it's a heart of coal. Right. So somewhere in there. And then, of course, chef. I remember, like, it's probably been 30 years, but there was a point in time when I remember sitting and going, wait, we're supposed to care about chefs now? Like, why do I know the name of a chef anywhere on the planet? Just make a sandwich. And then, of course, you know who it was? It was Wolfgang Puck. Remember when Wolfgang Puck was, like, suddenly famous? Yeah. So, hell, this is like 40 years ago. But I was like, he's a chef. Who cares? Like, I like a good meal. I love a good meal. It's nice. But the chef culture and, like, all these shows and all the stuff about how insane people get up, that still is the one that, like, hey, man, whatever floats your boat. But the idea of a bunch of people standing around a kitchen arguing over fondue, I'm just like, we get it. What? I don't get. Make me a grilled cheese. It's all the same.
Well, they're looking at them as like artists now. Is that?
I mean, and the Food Network. I mean, television shows, reality programming have greatly elevated these people. And I watched the Gordon Ramsay thing. Now, I think some of it now even is kind of shtick, and every once in a while he'll show a soft side or a charitable side, but that's his shtick, right? He's going to come at you. And I don't believe it probably was a shtick when he was a chef, because anyone that's worked in the food service industry, Candace, has probably met some psychopathic chefs along the way. Yeah. But I kept thinking to myself, it sucks because
they're hot too. It's like they're so hot, but they're so crazy.
See, I was a bus boy. We didn't have a chef. We had a cook. There wasn't anything hot about him as he was drinking the cooking wine that was spilling down the front of his, white wife beater there in the back. And I will tell you, people would say, can you send this back and get it warmed up a little bit? I'm like, just, go someplace else and eat. take it with you, take it home, warm it up, but do not send it back into that kitchen. I'm telling you right now.
Anytime I see a chef for anytime you get online, you're like, here's a new chef with a Michelin star. My first thought is always this: do an 8-hour shift at Waffle House and get back to me. Because they don't take notes. They just Waffle House, and those are cooks, like you said, and they just hear it. The waiters and the waitresses, they just call out the orders, and there's one guy or gal standing there making all that food without ever writing a thing down. I mean, I've spent a lot of time in Waffle Houses, and sometimes I'm even sober, and I watch that stuff go down, and I'm like, this is the greatest cook on the planet every time.
Yeah, they get it done, don't they? It's kind of you go to a place like Al's or Mickey's over there in St. Paul and just kind of watch them work back there, and the way they move those hash browns around, the eggs hit just right. The hash browns are perfectly crispy when the eggs are done, and the bacon, they nail it. Yeah, they work that thing like it's
incredible.
It's like watching an artist, paint a masterpiece.
The last time I was in a restaurant that still had a smoking section was not that long ago, and it was a Waffle House in Florida. And I walked in, and the smoking section was just like 2 booths in the corner. But guess what? You could still smell the smoke no matter where you were. And I was like, man, some things are just, I don't know. Like, there was something about it that was oddly comforting. Like, okay, I'm glad to know somewhere in the world you can still go get a bowl of grits and a cigarette. That's kind of nice.
Probably smoking in the kitchen,
That's what I was thinking.
We had one hanging out of their mouth. I'm surprised the last job here on the most psychopath job list, civil servant. I mean, is that... you're just out there to save the world? Is that the certain amount of people? Like the clergy, they're not in it to save souls and to pastor people, but they're just in it to because of their...
You're looking for... You just want blue ribbons every day. You want trophies and blue ribbons, and then you want to downplay. Oh, no, no, it's not me, it's us. It's the team. And, we've all had that guy on your team, whatever team it is, where they're hell, just look at most professional athletes. I'm so proud of this team, and they say that, and I'm like, I know in the locker room you're just such a douchebag. But civil servants, yeah, sure, man. It's like you throw yourself at trying to solve problems that there's just no way. But yeah, you get that blue ribbon, you get that pat on the back, and then you go home and bitch about how much money your CEO brother makes. Yeah,
and what a bunch of jerks your coworkers are, How they're letting you down.
The 10 jobs with the fewest psychopaths. None of these are a surprise. Care aide. Well, yeah. Nurse, therapist, craftsperson. What's a craftsperson?
Do they make things? I'm thinking someone standing there at a lathe with making a
there you go.
leg for a table or something.
Oh, of course. No, you're exactly right. I'm immediately like someone who goes to Michael's and makes scrapbooks for their neighbors. What the hell are you talking about?
I'm going to Michael's today.
Are you really?
In search of
glitter?
Yeah, I got some. So, I'm going to see the solar eclipse. So I got some eclipse glasses or goggles.
Right.
And they're plain colors, so I'm going to decorate them for me and my friends.
Hell yeah.
Well, while we've stepped over into this, I love me a good eclipse. We know it's happening in April here. I think early April. Where are you going to get your view?
Arkansas.
Careful how you decorate those the glasses.
What do you mean?
The glitter could get in your friend's eyes.
Oh, yeah. What if it reflects the harmful rays of the... Yeah. What if it actually magnifies it and makes it worth and Candace comes back with 2 eye patches?
Well, no. Even what if Candace glittered up some goggles and it turned into like laser beams, like an evil supervillain? The reflection bounces off Candace's goggles and blinds other people.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God. Yeah, she just mows a path through a bunch of people, takes out a satellite or
It's like the guy on that. What's that show on Amazon? The Boys. The captain.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, with the X-ray vision. That'd be great. Candace, be careful. You're unaware of your own powers.
Well, I was thinking more feathers and stuff. But...
Oh, you mean bird leaves?
Oh, you're gonna get some bird leaves. Yeah, that's exactly right. Feathers. feather. That's going to be nice.
I'm going to be in Michael's for like an hour. That store is a trap.
Oh my God! So that's farmers market. Well, no, farmers market is great because you get a little cream, you get things to eat along the way. I like a good stroll down a farmers market. I take that back. But the craft store and pet store, I won't go to someone. I won't tag along to the craft store or the pet store when we're out running errands because it's just agonizing, long. And then in the craft store, I think, well, there's something in there that I'll dig. Turns out there actually is not anything in there that I dig.
I had to call 911 to get extra. They had to get the jaws of life to get me out of a Bed Bath & Beyond once.
Well,
it was
Bed Bath
terrible.
Beyond, that's just a wonderland of adult fun in there. I mean, look at this. I didn't know what a duvet was or how badly I needed one till I walked into a Bed Bath & Beyond.
I've heard these words come out of my mouth. No, babe, after you pull the cork, you put this back in the bottle, and look, it's got a little duck on top. My wife's looking at me like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, I don't know. I need all of this. I need that cheese slicer. I need that cheese grater. I need the cheese shredder. I need every single thing in this store. I need a truck. I want to live at Bed Bath & Beyond.
Yeah, I buy a coffee maker every time I go in there. Not anymore, right? They're all teed up.
By the way, I'm glad you mentioned that. My wife and I have had there's a coffee maker we've had for years, and I honestly, it's a what is the company? A Cuisinart. And it's just, coffee makers, you either like them or you don't. They, for whatever reason, it's either simple enough or it's just too complicated. We found one years ago, and it was like, oh, this is perfect. It's just got like 3 buttons, and it does a good job, and we love it, right? Yeah. And so we have one. We had one at our house in Nashville for years. Got to Minneapolis. The one in Nashville, when we moved, it was old. I mean, we'd had it for 15 years. So I was like, I'm getting a new one. I'm going to pop for a new one. And then it had been updated a little bit. Couple new buttons. You can actually set a timer ahead of time, which is like, from the 1980s. But to me, it was like Buck Rogers' futuristic coffee maker. I can set it up and know when it's going to brew. I was all excited. And since we got to Minnesota, we have broken 3 carafes.
What are you doing?
I don't know. We keep getting these things cracked. And, what we do is we have it's like we can't figure out the exact, like pulling the thing out when you're going to clean it. You're going to rinse it out at the end of the day. Yeah. Somehow between where that coffee maker is set and our sink, there's just a gauntlet of things that you can run that carafe into. And like if it's either just the countertop itself, or it's trying to put it in the dishwasher and then you smack it into something else. I don't know. We just ordered our 3rd one. Yeah. We've had to replace it now. So this is number 4 because we've had 3 times, and I'm like, do we have to get a new brand? Like, is this us or is it the brand? And it's heartbreaking. I have very few items I'm so attached to, but I'm like, I refuse to try a new system. But my God, I mean, I literally just got a thing today saying your new carafe has been delivered. I'm like, oh my God, what's wrong with us? We're probably just going to have to stop drinking coffee.
No. Here at the break, I'm going to Google titanium carafes.
Oh, yeah, please.
We'll get you set up with an indestructible made of vibranium or something like that. Right now, boys and girls, we're going to the KQ92 talk and text line. We'll need a couple of very focused individuals. Yeah, that's right. Bring it. We'll clear the distractions away and head for the phone, 651-989-ROCK. You've got a toaster to beat. For tickets to Chris Stapleton, Saturday, April 6th at U.S. Bank Stadium. Suddenly, that's very close. Prize provided by Live Nation. There are some limited tickets remaining for that. Our runner-up today, April Wine. Friday at the Medina. Thank you to the Medina Entertainment Center. Very generous. 651-989-ROCK. Dial up. Good luck and hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show for Friday, March the 29th. Happy Friday to one and all. If you're going anywhere this weekend, it's, of course, a holiday weekend. It's also a big spring break weekend of travel. So, plan ahead. Look into some details. Make sure you don't get caught unawares because the spring breakers have a way of ruining everyone else's life. It's just what I found out. No matter where you're going, highway, flights, getting the bus, getting the train, those college kids, those high school kids, man, they get in the way. Maybe I'm just a grumpy old man. That's fine. It's working for me.
You're a nuisance.
Just saying, man. Like this is a weird time of year. A lot of things go sideways when, you've got like dozens of millions of teenagers on the loose. That's all I'm saying. Next weekend, Saturday, April 6th at the U.S. Bank Stadium, Chris Stapleton will be appearing. My man has a boatload of great songs and is a great showman, a performer, really great band. I cannot recommend highly enough doing all you can to get in to see Chris Stapleton. Buy, cheat, steal, whatever it's going to take. Or maybe you just win tickets right here on the KQ Morning Show. We would love for you to win some tickets. We have 2 folks, in fact, right now, locked and loaded, ready to compete, ready to bare their souls, ready to face the gauntlet that is Fridays. Well, why don't you tell us what it is, Tony?
That's simple. It's Friday, so let's play.
Wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey.
Toast. Toast. Toast.
I would like toast.
Toast.
Who wants toast? I love toast.
When this guy put some bread in a toaster, you won't believe what happened next.
You've got bread and a toaster of some kind.
Can you make me a grilled cheese sandwich?
Your breakfast is ready.
I didn't hear a ding.
The KQ Morning Show presents...
All we need to do is beat the toaster.
Beat the toaster.
It's a game show. Beat the toaster.
Breakfast is ready.
Don't fear the toaster. Embrace the anxiety. Here's what we're going to do. We pop a slice of bread into the toaster here in the studio. We give you a category. Then you name as many things that pop into your head as possible in 15 seconds before the toast pops. Try and beat the toaster. Today, I believe it's a lovely Caraway Rye.
You know what? Nice Caraway Rye. You know what goes through my mind when I hear that Beat the Toaster intro? And it's like it happens every week, and I just now acknowledged it. Do you remember that song by Train that went, Meet Virginia?
Yeah, sure.
I always think, Beat the Toaster to that melody. That's what I do.
That.
Yeah, I just it's a blessing and a curse to place things into a melodic fashion at all times, whether I want to or not. See, it happens.
Nice.
That's all. That's the only part of the song I really know. I can't remember the rest, and I probably don't want to because then I'd be singing it all day long. All right, I'm excited. You're excited. We're all excited. Candace, who is contestant number 1?
All right, we're going to do Lou from South St. Paul.
Sweet Lou, good morning.
Good morning.
How you feeling, brother?
I'm good, but I'm a woman, so.
Yeah, this is the famous, legendary Sweet Lou of St. Paul. Good morning, Sweet Lou. It's been years since you and I have talked. More than that, it's been years since we've done a shot together. I love hearing from you, Sweet Lou. You sound fantastic.
God.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, color me wrong, and I'm thrilled to have you on the show. I said Sweet Lou just because that's what I call everybody I know named Lou, and it turns out I was right in this case. So if it's been too long, then I say welcome back. Are you a Chris Stapleton fan, Lou?
Well, yeah, sure.
Sure, why not?
I like that. Well, you will be. If you go to the show, you will be. I promise you. So you're in the right place. I hope you're ready to beat the toaster. Tony's going to show us all how it's done.
All right, Sweet Lou, here's your category. Pasta shapes. Name some. Go ahead.
So what?
I'm sorry, you didn't hear?
He didn't hear.
I didn't hear it.
She
Okay.
did not hear what you said, Tony.
All right, pasta shapes. Go to it.
Ricconi, mostaccioli, thick spaghetti, mostaccioli. Oh, I got mostaccioli. How did you?
Wait a second. Is that a pasta?
That is. Yeah, Mamma Mia. Yeah, that's a great
Mama,
pasta.
she makes a good pasta.
Yeah.
Oh, I do.
I'm sure you do.
I'm a nice Italian girl.
Yep.
Sure you are. So how many did we get there, guys?
I think Sweet Lou got 4.
Sweet Lou with 4. Hey Lou, we've seen a lot worse in round 1. Don't worry, you're in good shape. But now you see how it goes. Now the pressure's off. Round 2 sometimes gets a little easier, maybe. But you know what? Because Tony can sometimes, as we said, he'll reveal a dark, sinister side in round 2. But we have confidence in you. So sit tight. We're going to go to contestant number 2 for their first round. Candace, who is contestant number 2?
Rich from Maple Grove.
Rich, good morning.
Good morning.
Are you a Chris Stapleton fan?
I am now.
Attaboy. That's the right attitude. You will be if you get these tickets. I promise you. The guy's great. All right, Rich, you know the game. It's Beat the Toaster. breathe deeply, calm yourself, get a little meditation in quickly if that's what you need, and we wish you all the best.
All right, Richie Rich, you're in an aisle at Target. Name some of the deodorant antiperspirant scents that are available. Go.
Oh, Aquafresh, Spring Fresh, Morning Dew, Beach Coast, Muskmelon, Honeydew.
What you call me?
Muskmelon.
Muskmelon.
I got 5, I think.
Yeah, I got 5 on that.
All right, Rich, well done.
Good job.
Man, I don't even know if any of those exist, but I love the creativity. So fair enough. That's a strong start for both of you. All right, Rich, you got 5. You have a lead of exactly 1. But round two, we usually turn up the heat a little bit. All right, Sweet Lou, it's time for round 2. Are you ready?
Ready.
Let's do
it. She's serious. Sweet Lou, let's imagine that your last name is McDonald. What are some of the nicknames you'll be given? Go.
Mac, Mickey, McDonald. Oh my God. I'm done.
Wow. Okay.
Oh my God.
That's all right.
It's tough. It's tough, Lou. We feel it.
Toaster,
I got 3 for Sweet Lou.
Yep, we're looking at a total of 7 there, Lou. And no, we've had winners with less than 7. Trust me, this is a tough one. We know what we're doing, and we're kind of sadistic when it comes to this game. So listen, you're in good shape. We're going to go back to Rich for his second round. Rich, are you ready for round 2? It's usually tougher.
Yeah, bring it on.
All right, I like that.
All right.
Let's go.
Stepping up. All right, Rich. Howdy, partner. You're a cowboy. What are you wearing right now? Go.
Assless chaps, snakeskin boots, leather cowboy hat, bolo tie, a sidearm, a whip, pink gloves.
All right.
Yeah,
I have to ask, Rich, are you actually a cowboy, and are you actually wearing all that? That was incredible.
Looking in the mirror.
Those guys just standing in front of a full-length mirror. You made it easy on him, Tony.
Well, I anticipated winning and going to Chris Stapleton, so I think I got my
There you go.
Wear your assless. You can tell
Tony
he's a
Lee has-
KQ listener because he just wants to get assless in there. There are no chaps that have an ass. Those would just be leather pants. But assless chaps really brings it home. I love it. Thank you.
Just fun to say.
Oh, my God. I'm nearly 60 years old, and it's never occurred to me that there's no such thing as assful chaps. That's exactly right. Tony Lee proving yet again he does have webcams at all of our listeners' homes. Rich, that's 11 total. That's enough for the win. You got Chris Stapleton tickets, brother. I guarantee you will enjoy that show. Sweet Lou, we're not letting you go empty-handed. April wine tickets Friday. That's tonight at the Medina Entertainment Center. Congrats, and it's good to talk to you.
All right, good to talk to you guys. Have a great day and good Easter.
Good
Easter. And the same to you.
Happy
See you over. Yeah,
right on.
See her over in St. Paul one of these days. I don't even remember what bar gigs I was doing, how we ended up running into each other, but we just ran into each other. Every time I was in St. Paul, Sweet Lou would be there to greet me, and we'd throw one back. So, God, it's good to hear from her.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. That's always fun. Man, is that fun.
Yeah.
I still can't get over the fact that I kid you not, 3 minutes ago, it's the first time I've ever even thought about assless chaps being an unnecessary thing to say.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of redundant.
Yeah, kind of. That's exactly what it is. Boy, that's just
but
great.
Some people will wear them without any, particularly in Sturgis. You will see just the chap look, so you get the ass there.
Nice.
So I see what they're saying. Yeah, sometimes it is, Candace. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's guys doing it. I don't know what's happening there. Yeah, right. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but
no.
Yeah, the image in your head isn't always the one you get. Like everybody's topless out at Sturgis. That's awesome, but it's like going to a nude beach. It's not what you're picturing in your mind.
I've been to Sturgis twice with the Black Crows. Played out there a couple times. The first time we played, it was at a time when we were really we were jamming a lot. It wasn't so much just playing down and dirty rock and roll. There was a lot of ethereal, what do you call it? Musical masturbation happening on stage. And of course, by God, we're not going to alter the set list for this audience. And we went in there thinking, well, this isn't really probably going to be our crowd. Well, that's what I was thinking. I don't know if anyone else was aware of that, but we were watching the show and watching the band before us, and they were killing it, and the crowd was having it, and it was George Thorogood and the Destroyers.
Oh, yeah.
And they were rocking and giving that crowd exactly what they wanted, and it was one of the few times at that time in our career when we all went, yeah, we need to rewrite the set list. This isn't going to work. We wouldn't bend to any expectation, but that one, yeah, we probably ought to just rock. We need to. We got to. Yeah. Let's not subject ourselves to what's going to happen if we play the original set list we just wrote.
What they do out there, yeah.
Oh man, it was raucous. But the last time we went, the second time, I don't really remember the show itself, but just the day driving around. But right next to where we were playing, there was a setup where they had one of those, I don't even know how you describe it. It's almost like the bottom, 30 feet of a silo, and people stand around the top of it, and these guys get on motorcycles and drive on the walls of this.
Yeah.
What is that thing called? It's like
yeah, there is too. There's a couple of different outfits that maybe more than that come through Sturgis. I'm thinking the one out at the Broken Spoke campground that we'd always hang out at, and I forget what it's called though, man. It's driving me nuts. It's and picturing it. There's a lot of bikers out there right now. Talking text line 651-989-ROCK. Help us out here. But yeah, I know
this guy just rides into this. Yeah. It's closed off, and you're standing at the top of it looking down, and he's just riding a motorcycle at an extraordinarily high speed in a circle. Just like around and around and around on the walls of this thing, completely sideways. Yeah, I'm describing this terribly. I'm really doing a bad job.
Thank you, Chuck. Wall of Death.
I just stood there. It's like the kind of thing that I saw that as a kid at a state fair, like a sideshow thing. But seeing that as an adult, it was like even more like, oh wow! I watched like 3 different shows that day. I just kept going back and watching them do it over and over. It was awesome.
It's kind of like riding a snowmobile up there in Grantsburg across the lake. You don't let off the throttle. It's all throttle. You got to stay on the throttle and let the momentum take you. But yeah, they're cool because they'll get in there, then they'll start going opposite directions. One cat will get going in one direction, the other one will get going in the other direction. Where they're just that blows my mind. So now I'm not only just trying to stay on this wall, but I'm looking for what's his face coming my way. Sometimes I'll get a few, but yeah, it's pretty nuts. It is the wall of death.
Thankfully, how many? I know this. This is like the thing that, and then I forget every year. How many bikers go to Sturgis?
Hundreds,
roughly
of thousands.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, it depends on the years. They had some of those peak years. Maybe 10, 15 years ago, around the 50th, when they were getting up into that 500,000 kind of bikers thing. But you can always count on a couple of 100,000, and about half of them are from Minnesota. I don't know a state that sends more people out to Sturgis than Minnesota. Of course, there's proximity. It's not that far away. And then, of course, you got the biker culture here in Minnesota. It's pretty thick, pretty stout.
Yeah, it's pretty awe-inspiring. And I did shout out to my former self. I have seen Vespa scooters in Sturgis.
Oh yeah, you'll see it all. You'll see it all. And you should see it all, man. If it's got 2 wheels, it's in Sturgis in August, and all are welcome. I'm not a bike snob at all, man. Just give me 2 wheels and a motor. Got to have a motor. No bicycles, please.
Was there ever a time in your life, or is there still a time in your life? Do you ever ride without a helmet?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I know it's weird. It's not weird. Hey, listen, here's what I will tell you about that. It's stupid. You shouldn't. Mm-hmm. It's obviously way more safer. The thought of being seriously injured or dying from a head injury is, I don't know, so insanely high without a helmet. But yes, Steve, I do frequently ride my motor. I'm getting a little better about it. Helmets are getting better. Those old Bell helmets, where your neck got sore by the time you got to the end of the block. They weighed, about 35 pounds. They're getting a lot better with the helmets, and you got little air things in there. And so I bought bought a couple off Dennis Kirk, and sometimes I wear them when I'm dirt biking. Always.
Look, I can't be in a car without a seatbelt on, and I've been that way my whole life. Like, I was at that age in elementary school where I saw one PSA on a little film projector about seatbelts, and I was like, I have to wear a seatbelt every day. I mean, it's just when I still see things about he wasn't wearing a seatbelt, I'm like, I can't even imagine that. But I fully get the helmet issue on both sides. Of course, it's safer to wear one. Yeah. But I completely understand why one would want to ride without one. And again, going back to my admittedly incredibly geeky era of riding a Vespa, I found an old leather football helmet in a thrift store, and I was wearing that for a while. I was like, "Come on, it's a Vespa. What could go wrong?" I'm doing 50 on this damn thing, and I'm just wearing a little thin piece of leather because it looked cool. So if I was wearing anything, and if I was just driving and keeping in the, I hated putting on a helmet. But to your point too, and I've noticed this just recently. Yeah, helmets seem way better and easier and lighter and better. It's a whole they've upped their game pretty considerably.
Yeah, they've got air vents in a lot of them now, so they breathe a little bit. But yeah, there's nothing quite like getting on, twisting the throttle in the open air and out in the open countryside of Minnesota somewhere, or out in the hills, and so I still dig that. But I'm trying to do it more and more. I get it.
Yeah. So, well, there's thankfully, we're all still here, and you have nothing. You don't have to look back yet and say, "Well, I'm never doing that again." That's where I'm getting here.
Yeah, pretty sure you just cursed me though. I'm jinxed me or whatever.
No. It's good to mention it. I'm knocking on wood, and now that we've talked it, we got it out of the way.
Tony, Candace, when I'm a vegetable, would you take me over to Steve's place and say, "Steve, he's yours now"?
I'll just leave you at the front
door.
Take
care of him. Set him right next to Chauncey.
Listen, you could do a lot worse in life than being Chauncey's ward.
I know.
Or having him as yours. What is that? Who's in charge? I don't know. The ward thing always throws me.
I know. You heard that's a verbal, you guys. We've done lots of stories with someone comes and they come over and demolish the wrong house, or they tear the roof off the wrong house or something like that. How about a twist on that story? We've got a property owner stunned after coming back and looking at their empty lot, which wasn't empty anymore. We'll get to that here about 8:27. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line, 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's Friday, March the 29th. Along the way, in just about everybody's life, they think about real estate. Not just as a place to live, but maybe as an investment. Maybe I should look into this real estate thing. I mean, they always say they're not making more land. Right. Generally speaking, land value will just increase over time. And that's usually the case. And boy, is there an interesting story out of Hawaii. In 2018, a woman found a parcel of land in an area near Honolulu called Paradise Park, and she thought, this is the perfect serene location, and I can host my meditative healing women's retreats, which is lovely. She has what they call meditative healing women's retreats, and she thought that would be great. She bought this parcel of land at a county tax auction for $22,000. That is a bargain in Hawaii, and so she felt pretty good about this. Long story short, I'm not quite sure how in the world this happened. A house was built on that lot. It's a $500,000 home, and it was built, accidentally. The builders got the wrong lot. The developer and the contractor somehow got confused and built a house on the wrong property.
I mean, I know they can throw those things up pretty quickly these days, prefab and that whole thing. But come on, man. How does that happen? Was it like just one lot over, I wonder?
Well, this woman lives in California. She bought this lot, and then shortly after all the paperwork was signed, the pandemic hit. So she's just sitting tight in California waiting for the world to reopen, and then she'll figure out what she wants to do with it. The lot was bulldozed and built on her property. So it was the lot was bulldozed, and then the house was built. She had no idea any of this was happening. She just bought a cheap lot and figured when the pandemic's over, I'll get to it. She got a call last year from a real estate broker who said, "Hey, I just sold a house, and apparently it's on your property. So not only had the house been built, it was listed and sold. And then they found out, oh, wait a minute, this is not what we thought it was. There's a woman in California who apparently owns this lot.
That complicates things, the fact that they sold it. I was picturing her just driving back to check on the lot, maybe showing a friend, getting back to Hawaii. This is going to be our... Oh, no, that's not it. Oh, I said my map must be wrong, my map navigation, huh? You know, just wondering why there's all of a sudden a house on your property. So it's not one of those fairy tale endings where she got a free house out of the deal. I imagine there are all sorts of lawyers involved.
I was going to say it's a fairy tale ending for all the attorneys because everybody's suing everybody. You know, this is the Jerky Boys sue everybody moment where lawsuits are flying. I mean, we all have. Everybody's got a contractor story. You know what I mean? I mean, that's an industry fraught with oops moments. You know, Rosemary and I redid a house once, and the neighborhood we lived in there was an architectural overlay as it was an older bunch of houses. And so the city was like, well, we have to make sure you can't knock a house down and build something brand new. They wanted everything to look the way it had looked, 100 plus years ago when it was built. Nothing too crazy, but basically the rules were simple. There was a height restriction. If you're going to add a second floor, it can only be so high. Right? I mean, that was ultimately the only thing that mattered in our situation. And we are, first time ever trying anything like this, last time ever doing anything like this. It worked out okay, but the headaches involved with rehabbing a house, it's not like, I thought we were just going to put on overalls and have fun.
Yeah, just like they do on the TV shows.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be like an episode of 30-something where, if I remember correctly, they tiled a floor and then had great sex. That's not how it worked. No. It wasn't like that at all. But here's the craziest thing. When the guys came to frame up the second floor, there was an original set of plans that it was, I don't remember the numbers, but let's just say the original set of plans, the top was 36 feet tall. Well, it had to be under 34 feet, right? So it was adjusted. But when the framers showed up, they had the original plan. And they framed the original blueprint idea of 36 feet as opposed to, say, 33 feet. And before, so picture this. It gets framed. And then you put in the walls, and then you put on the roof, and then someone from the city comes and measures it and says, you're too tall. You got to pull it all down.
Yeah.
That didn't happen to us. You know why?
Why?
Because the day they framed it, an obnoxious neighbor came by and measured it himself and reported us.
Oh,
you're trying to get away with extra footage, which we weren't. The guy saved us a fortune.
Right?
But I still think
at the same time.
Yeah, I'm still like, oh, you're the kind of douchebag who walks around with an implement that you can measure heights from the ground. Okay, you're a weirdo, but hey, thanks. Glad it worked out. But so that one and done is what I call that experience of just, thinking, well, I mean, we'll just get the right people and we'll oversee it. And I'm like, and at some point I was like, hey, wait a minute, I'm a drummer. What am I doing?
It's like pounding a nail, right? Just keeping the beat. Let's give him two hammers. Rosemary could hold the nails and then just let you, bang out a tune, man.
I learned that lesson early, which is, make a smart purchase, but then just live in it. Just live in it.
I had a neighbor, and he was the handyman. I might have been a builder. I didn't get to know him that well, Bill. But he's one of those guys that just did it all, constantly working on his house, just making it look much more beautiful than my home next to it. Puts on a 3-season porch. And then I see him out there. I come home one day, and the 3-season porch gets finished, and it looks fantastic. And he has me over for a beer, and we're sitting on the 3-season porch overlooking the lake. It's awesome. Dude, maybe I'll have you do one of these for me. I come home one day, and it's just collapsed in the backyard. I'm like, oh, man, what? I'm looking at my house like, what is this? Some flatline winds come through here? What the hell? Straight line or whatever they call them? What the hell's going on here? Go over, Bill, everything all right, man, out back? He goes... He was just freaking out. He had to tear it down because someone came out and measured, and it was 1 inch too long, too far out into the yard.
Wow.
Some building code 1 inch, and he just couldn't take 1 inch off. He would have had to take the whole front of it off. So, as men do, he just went out and destroyed it.
Yeah, right.
I'm sure there could have been. I don't know. Can you work on it a little bit? Just bring her back a little. No.
Couldn't you have given it just a big, strong push?
You know, can you move the whole thing, the house end here? You get on that end, I'll get on this end. Let's get the guys in the neighborhood together. No, I feel like it was after they said that 1 inch, he's like, I'm tearing it all down. It became therapeutic. He needed to do that so he didn't, go down to City Hall and do something much worse maybe.
Man, we had a situation about 10 years ago. The house next door was sold, and it was an old small house, and a developer bought it to flip it, to fix it up, make it a little bigger, and then sell it. And it wasn't a developer; it was some guys who thought they would try to be developers. It was their first ever project, and they made a lot of mistakes, and watching it from next door was really, really frustrating. But there was also there were little things like, guys would be working on the house, and they would turn on their boombox at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
Okay, standard issue stuff. But then, so the way it goes, like they had to dig a trench in the backyard of this house for the electrical line to go under. Just for whatever reason, they couldn't. There's power lines behind the houses, like on the back alley, and they couldn't connect above ground. Long story, but so they had to dig a long trench from the back of the house to the power pole. No big deal. It's in their yard. What do I care? Well, they didn't look at where, I don't know, maybe my 3 really tall old trees were located along the fence line.
Yeah.
And they just dug a trench, and they just went right through the root systems of all 3 of my giant old trees in a row, in a straight line.
Yeah, that sounds like something. If I was doing it, I'd be like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
Do you have the Gorman's number?
Well, I come home. I'm doing an afternoon show at the time, and I come home, and the guy's like, hey, I want to show you something back here. and I walk back, I look at the trench. He goes, I'm thinking maybe all these roots here, they must be for your trees. And I'm like, you think?
You see how roots work?
And I said, well, we're going to get a tree guy to come out, and he's going to tell us if this is salvageable, if these trees are going to make it or whatever, and you're going to pay for it. And he's like, oh, yeah, of course. And I called, and my neighbor was the kind of person who knows, like, arborist and gardener. She's obsessed with gardening and stuff. I said, do you know a tree guy? She goes, yep, I sure do. Next day, guy comes out. He looks in that trench for 1/4 of 1 second and goes, you're going to have to bring down all 3 trees. I go, no. He goes, it's you either bring them down or they're going to die and wither and fall down on their own. And I'm telling you right now, you don't want that to happen. And so, like, in less than a week, we went from a really, really beautifully shaded backyard to none. It was like, I just wanted to. But of course, it could always be worse. There was another house in our neighborhood under construction, and one of the contractors left something on or plugged in or whatever and torched the whole place. I mean, the whole house went up on fire and went down to a crisp. Tony, you're still a recreational arsonist, aren't you?
Yeah, I found it to be a really soothing hobby.
Yeah.
Just watching it burn.
Ever do that with a house that's under construction just to be even funnier? Like, no, I'm not even going to let you finish it. We're just going to torch it down.
It is so much fun. It is.
Burn, babe. Disco Inferno, man.
Did you ever see the movie Backdraft?
Yeah, sure.
And isn't it Donald Sutherland who's the arsonist, and he talks about it like as if he's describing the best night of lovemaking he'd ever had?
Yeah.
The fire is like a living, breathing being. And it's just really creepy the way he talked about it. But then, of course, the next time I was looking at a fire pit, I was like, yeah, I kind of see that.
Yeah, it is sexy.
Yeah, it really is. Shocking. Of course, I watched Backdraft on a plane and therefore was way too compelled. And there was a funeral scene, and the minute I heard the bagpipes, I started crying. I don't even remember who died. I think it might have been Kurt Russell, but all I know is I'm looking at a movie and as I'm watching it, I'm like, this is just really not very good. Oh my God, he's dead.
It's those damn bagpipes. They trigger.
Let me tell you something. Bagpipes at 30,000 feet with a belly full of beer, that's a recipe for a whole big crying jag from this guy.
I'm just choked up thinking about it.
Speaking of movies, check this out. Here's a list that we saw. The nastiest things actors have eaten on set in character. I always assume when people are eating weird stuff, it's not real. That's not the case.
I think it was just, food coloring and something delicious.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think. The Revenant. You remember that's Leo DiCaprio getting mauled by a bear? That's really all I remember about that movie.
Hell yeah.
He actually ate raw bison liver.
Of course,
in character.
He did. Yeah, I mean, he was shooting for an Oscar on that one, which I believe he received.
He did get, yeah.
Yeah, so eating raw bison liver. Well, I mean, with a cracker.
I mean, I know people have done it for. I know it's something that's been done for millennia plus, but still, Leo, you could just get a burger and put some blood on it. I mean,
yeah, right.
In Rosemary's Baby, Mia Farrow also ate raw liver.
Ish.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in The Revenant, I don't remember in Rosemary's Baby if she just tore it out. But remember in the movie, he picked up the liver, so it looked like a liver. It was real. It was gritty. It was Oscar worthy, I guess. But when did she eat the liver? I don't remember
I don't remember that either. I remember the haircut. She looked cute.
Yeah.
Oh God, was she cute? That's about it,
she
though.
Was raped by the devil.
Well, the devil's going to get what the devil wants. Don't kid yourself.
I know.
In a movie called Rescue Dawn, which I don't even remember hearing about, Christian Bale ate a bunch of real maggots.
There you go, Christian. He insisted, They're like, no, dude, we have these like little sugary, they're fun. We've been eating them all day. We just saved enough for the scene. He's like, no, I want maggots. I want real maggots.
Well, and he's such a weird, intense guy. The funny part was, in the scene, he's actually playing an attorney in court, and there's no reason to eat maggots. He just thought he'd do it. No, I'm kidding. That's a joke. Vampire's Kiss, Nicolas Cage did eat a live cockroach, and he washed it down with whiskey. That was a real cockroach. I remember that. Oh, check this out. Game of Thrones in season 1, Lady Dragonheart, what was her name? Amelia Clark. What was it? The Queen of Dragons? What was her? Is that what she was called?
The
little blonde, the dragon girl.
Yeah. I'm trying to. I want to say Kardashians, Transgerians.
Her name was Debbie.
That's what it was, Debbie.
Deb for short. Deb of the Dragons. Targaryen.
Targaryens.
She was the dragon gal. She ate at one time. She ate on the show a stallion heart, and it was actually solidified jam. And she said it tasted like bleach and raw pasta. And she had to, in multiple takes, she ate 28 of them.
Gross.
And so then she had a bucket because, of course, she can't keep all 28 of those down.
I'd rather have the heart. Heart, very tasty. I don't know if you guys do it or not. Fried up a little bit, some onions.
This is a good one. The Night of the Living Dead. There's a scene, the zombies, of course, feasting on a pile of human remains. Yeah. It was actually ham and sheep organs doused in chocolate syrup.
Yeah, right, black and white. That's what they used. They went black and white on that. So they could use the chocolate syrup as blood. It had the consistency and that dark, give it that dark color in the black and white. I love that movie. I watched a documentary on it. He put it on his credit card, the entire movie. Romero, he was still a film student, I believe, when he ended up making that movie, that iconic classic. But he would go down for, not the things they ate, but he would go down to butcher stores and say, hey, do you got anything you want to throw out? Guts, that sort of thing. The stuff that they don't make. Well, I thought they made it into everything. But he would take it out and use that on the set for days. And they shot this thing in the summer, and they're like, this is getting really bad, George. But I don't think that's the stuff they ate. But that sounds pretty nasty.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Stop it.
Candace, do sheep organs taste like goat organs? Is it same?
I wouldn't know, Steve.
Oh, okay. Just wondering. You remember the movie Willard?
Oh, yeah.
With the rats.
Yeah. Before Ben.
Before Ben, yeah. Well, wasn't Ben one of the rats?
Yes, Ben was the murderous, the heavy murderous rat.
Well, I remember seeing the movie Willard, and Ernest Borgnine goes down. The rats get him. They all and I remember reading at the time. So this is when I'm like 7 that they smeared peanut butter all over Ernest Borgnine to get the rats to actually climb on him and pretend to be. And I was like, Ernest Borgnine somewhere is like, can't we? Isn't there? Are we never going to figure out how to do this with can we get ahead on that CGI thing? Can we just seriously? You want me to lay down with peanut butter all over my body and throw rats on top of me? Man, that's suffering for your art right there.
Yeah, they took them out the window.
man. That's right. That's exactly right. That's incredible.
I don't remember. That was so long ago I saw that movie. I'm not remembering anything. You guys are kind of bringing me along.
And then, the Michael Jackson had a big song called Ben, and it's about a rat named Ben.
That's right. God, I remember that.
And might have been one of those several songs when he isn't Michael kind of cry towards the end because Ben does that little cracking voice thing.
Had a friend like Ben.
Yeah. Oh man. Jeez. Michael Jackson singing a song about a rat. Go figure. In Star Wars: A New Hope, which was originally, of course, just called Star Wars, the original, Mark Hamill was drinking blue milk. It was actually just milk dyed blue, and he said it was gag-inducing, warm, oily, and sickly sweet.
Again, couldn't you put like a little blueberry, mash up some blueberries, mix it in actual milk, make it ice cold, and here we go, Mark. We've got a couple of takes here. By the way, that blue milk finally coming to stores this May 4th. May the 4th be with you. But yeah,
sure.
True Moo. Oh, wow. Yeah, True Moo.
Hey, there is still time to pick up the Tee It Up golf card number 3. This is our final card for 2024. Golf 7 area courses. You can save over $200 while you do so. Get yours at 92kqrs.com. Search the keyword golf. We talked about it a lot last year, Zepp, and we got out a couple times. By God, we're golfing this summer.
Oh, hell yeah.
I have committed myself to a lot of stretching, a lot of complaining, and then a whole lot of it wasn't all that bad, was it? Conversations with you over the next 6 months.
I've already been chewed out a couple of times. What is that thunking upstairs? Because I've got the turf mat out. I'm doing my practice swings with my irons. Yeah,
Attaboy.
Thunk. I'm a little thick right now. I'm a little fat right now on my shots, but we'll get that all squared away.
And by the way, Candace and Tony, don't think for a second we're excluding you guys. I just, Zepp and I have already had this conversation, but if you guys want to get out there with us, by God, that's why they make golf carts with 2 seats. 2 carts, 4 people. We can all do this.
Candace and I are going to be playing croquet.
Yeah.
That's perfect. I might join you. I might borrow your croquet on the green. I don't know. Gorman's got me. I'm not going to catch him. I'm too old now to catch any. I'm not going to get you. I'll have a day or two. Or there's something in there about a hole or two and a stroke or two. I forget what the punchline is. But, I could use some comrades out there, making me feel a little bit better about my game. Oh, of course, Steve, they'll come out and just, all of a sudden, Tony's a ringer. He was on the high school team.
Oh, I know.
Like,
yeah, of course.
Of a bitch. And Candace will be, she'll just bring out that natural thing that younger people do. This isn't hard. Why do you guys think this is so hard? What are you complaining about? It's kind of boring. It's so easy.
I won't play croquet because I suffered a significant croquet injury once. True story. This rat bastard Joey Martinez in 2nd grade. We were playing croquet in his front yard, and as a joke, he thought he'd swing full like it was a golf club and brought his mallet right back into my eye. I had a shiner for like a week and a half. He smacked me so damn hard in the face with that croquet mallet, I've never gone near the game since. People say, let's play croquet. I'm like, you don't know what you're getting into.
Yeah. No kidding. It's a mallet, for crying out loud.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of things can happen when you've got a mallet in hand.
The mallet, the part where you actually strike the ball, it's the exact size of my 7-year-old eye socket. Go figure. That
kind of sounds like a radical putter, while I'm out there not caring. I get a Rodney Dangerfield bag and put the mallet in there and occasionally bring it out for the putt. We're going to move along here. Of course, Easter is on Sunday, and much like Halloween, candy, a big part of Easter, it can be more polarizing even than Halloween candy. I'm looking at a list of the best Easter candy of all time. I don't know about you guys, but I just love talking about candy. We're going to talk about candy, see where you guys fall on some of this. Some of this stuff I love, and some you'll never get near me. It makes me angry. We'll get to that here about 8:55. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zepp, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Friday, March the 29th. Good Friday. Let's make it a great Friday. Come on. Let's not settle for good. What do you say?
Okay.
No?
Come on,
Can't get anybody
gang.
to go with me on that? Come on, guys. Let's make it a great Friday. Sad news to report. I just saw this. In all sincerity, Lou Gossett Jr. has died. 87 years old. I kind of forget when he got really going, like when his career took off, he was already very much an adult. He was not a young man. Won an Oscar and an Emmy in his career. He won an Emmy for his role in Roots, and then an Oscar, Best Supporting Oscar for for an Officer and a Gentleman, I mean to say. Officer and a Gentleman, boy, him and Richard Gere just going at it. I mean, those are some fantastic moments.
Mayonnaise there were drill sergeants. So I went in several years after that movie, I went into basic training, and they were ripping Lou Gossett Jr. off. He nailed it. Not since Arlie Ermy, maybe in Full Metal Jacket was it done any better or as well. But I actually got that from Sergeant Childress down there in Fort Lost in the Woods, Missouri. You eyeballing me, boy? And now you have to keep it straight. You can't laugh and go, oh, that's Lou Gossett in An Officer and a Gentleman. That's fantastic. What did I forget what Richard Gere was screaming there in the rain? You're not going to break me.
I got nowhere to go.
Oh, that's
I got nowhere to go.
Crap. Yeah. Terrible movie, but he was fantastic. Oscar worthy.
Oh, come on. That movie's fine if you can get past the opening scene where Richard Gere and his father are having a foursome.
That's right.
It's a little weird at the top of that one.
Then they slowly lost me through the movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, Dad, I feel like we missed a part of my childhood here.
Lou Gossett Jr., big part of Gorman family lore because late 70s in a little town called Elkton, Kentucky, which was in the county over from where we were from, he shot a made-for-TV movie called Lawman Without a Gun. And it was a true story of in some southern rural town from the 60s, the first black sheriff, and he didn't wear a gun. He didn't have a gun, hence the title Lawman Without a Gun. And it was a true story, and he was the guy, and they did a big production, and they invited locals to come be extras in this film. And as we were all members of a local theater group putting on musicals and stuff, a bunch of us went over. My mom was eyeballed by someone in the cast, and I believe she got a line or two.
All right.
And guess who took a liking to mother of 8, Imelda Gorman?
No way.
Sweet Lou Gossett Jr.
Took a shine to her, did he?
Oh, yeah. He was chatting her up. He's like, you don't have 8 babies. No. I mean, he made her feel like...
like 9.
Yeah, he made... Trust me, she was... they had a hot minute there, and you haven't lived until you've seen Oscar winner Lou Gossett Jr. hit on your mom.
No, I think I'd feel conflicted a little bit maybe about that, but
no confliction here. I was like, please, you'd be way cooler than my dad. This would be awesome. Can Lou Gossett Jr. please be my dad? That's what I was thinking.
I'm sure that's not what he was thinking.
No, he wasn't thinking that at all. I'm in town for 72 hours. Let's see if we can make some magic. He didn't seem to be sweating it at all. Unlike the rest of us who, let's not kid ourselves. The things that go through our minds, the things we worry about during sex, and sweat is one of those things.
Yeah.
I'm looking at a list. 8 things we all worry about during sex. If you're sweating too much. Now, Zepp, You've been very open. You've been vulnerable about the amount of sweat you can conjure in a day.
I will slide right off the woman and the bed and hit the floor. And then if it's hardwood floors, I'll keep sliding. Or if we're doing it in the kitchen on the table again, whoop, I hit that linoleum and away I go. No, it's like a greased pig. Me in bed sometimes.
You don't have to go so far with it. You can just say it's like a greased man, and we would totally understand. Okay. You went straight to greased pig.
I think it's fine. I mean, I would be offended kind of if you weren't sweating. Like, try harder.
Wow.
Let's work up a sweat there. Cha-cha, you're not done, mister.
Man.
Another lap around the track for you. I
can just hear Candace. Who do you think you are, Sting? Stop the deep breathing and get to sweating. Go.
It does work, I think, in bed. That wouldn't be a hang-up for me, but I've had to learn to live with the sweat thing. I'm more like pitting out. That bothers me. But sweat in bed, you get it, Candace. Work for it.
Yeah, come on. This is a race, not a marathon.
Oh, wow. A sprint, you mean?
All right, whatever. Shut up.
Shut up.
Shut your...
number one on the list is whether the other person is enjoying it, which is, I'm like, wait, really? People think about that? But apparently they do.
No, I'm just kidding. I like to scoff at that. But
your facial expressions. I never worry about my facial expressions during sex. I have enough to worry about how bad I look when I play the drums. So that's where I turn that off.
Is that your orgasm face when you're playing the drums?
I hope not. God, I got to apologize to my wife if that's the case.
Right? Yeah. First of all, can you see the other person's face? I know sometimes you can. I don't know. What do you guys think? I don't have a problem with the facial thing. I want to see that twisted face. That's what I'm working for. That's what I'm sweating for. I want to see. Yeah, make it ugly. Don't give me something pretty. I know you're faking it. I appreciate the effort. I mean, maybe I'm. This says I'm way too self-involved, but I'm just not that worried about much during sex. I don't have a lot of worries. I'm not worried about. I'm not worried. Well, also on this list, the constant threat of accidentally passing gas. I'm there. Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, occasionally, but it's not something I'm concerned with. I mean, I think I have like switch systems. It's like train tracks. You know, they just protect you. You're never going to get on the wrong track. Like when certain things are on fire, other parts of my body shut down, I think.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, that does make sense. That's how the body works, like a train track. That's how it is in bed. We're on the rails. I don't know. I don't know. I'm probably on the list, but I'm sure for guys, getting a boner. But that's really just the whiskey D talking right there. That's
sure.
I've had enough to drink, and I'm like, this is going to happen. This is happening. We're going to make this happen. And but I'm like, okay, come on, buddy, don't give up on me. You've had a lot of Jameson tonight. Come on, man.
I can tell you one thing that that very few people on Earth are worried about. In fact, there may only be one person who's worried about this during sex, and that is what's going through her sister's mind right now.
What?
What? Abby and Brittany Hensel, the Minnesota conjoined twins.
Yeah.
One of them got married.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
An Army vet, no less.
Yeah. Abby, the left side conjoined twin, married a guy named Josh. Now, if you are not familiar with the Hensel sisters, they are the conjoined twins, which in the old days, when we didn't know what we were talking about, would say Siamese twins. They are, for lack of a better way to describe it, it looks like it's two women who share the lower half of one body.
Yeah.
And, they're two arms, two heads, two legs. It's like, or a brusque way to describe it would be almost like it looks like one person with two heads. One of the two married a guy named Josh. They're married. They have a very healthy relationship apparently, and I'm seeing photos of the wedding, and of course. They look beautiful in the wedding dress.
Yeah.
But he's married to one of them and not the other, of course, because they are two separate people. And I just can't imagine. And I don't have a funny thing to say about this at all. I'm astonished at the life that these women have made for themselves. And this is just incredible to me. And I can't, I'm thinking about the idea of, I think I'm in love with this girl. And then.
Yeah.
Look at me. I'm speechless.
Josh?
I don't know what to say.
Yeah, right. Yeah. How about the hubby here, Josh, is his name, and I mean you talk about. We're talking about being insecure in bed. You talk about security. You're talking about really feeling that love, that soulmate connection, and taking that step, a step that, now we're just trying to kind of comprehend. Yeah. I mean, that's beyond brave and cool.
Yeah,
and
I think it's awesome. They're probably just all really close friends. I mean, I'm really happy for them. We were in college at the same time, and I used to see them at the club all the time back when Spin Nightclub was a big deal here, and we they're super nice, and I think people are being so rude and mean online. I just can't.
I think
that's what online is for. I mean, online suck my
of everybody of every story in my life. Anytime you see a story about anybody who's got unique challenges, they are truly on this whole different level to me. When they did come out, when the world learned about them. And then there was a series of interviews and TV appearances, and every few years, I mean, they had a show for a while on some network I've never watched. But, what an incredible, and it's not just them, obviously their family, but they're from New Germany, and they were, the town kind of kept them secret till they were ready to be publicly known. Everybody gathered around. I mean, they truly are incredible women.
Teachers, I think, right? Aren't they teachers right here in the metro area somewhere?
I don't know about that, but I would not be surprised.
I'll look it up because I do remember that. Teach 5th grade in New Brighton.
Incredible.
Yeah, right.
What if she felt pressured to ask her to be her maid of honor?
That's a very good question.
Nah.
It would be odd if it was someone else.
Yeah, it would be because you'd be getting an earful. See what I did there?
We Rosemary and I met them or saw them, I should say, years ago, 1996.
Oh yeah.
It was right as the Twins were. They went to New York City to appear, I believe, on Good Morning America, and it was their first. I could be getting some of the, or maybe it was today, but they were. If I remember correctly, somebody had heard about them, and like the National Enquirer sent someone to New Germany to try to find out, and people did circle the wagons. They were like, "No, we don't know what you're talking about." Yeah. But it was about to get out, and their parents made the decision. Okay, we have to. We just have to be in control of the narrative. And so they finally, they went on like Oprah, they did a bunch of stuff, but one of the first appearances was on one of the big morning shows. And I didn't know, of course, any of this. All I know is my wife and I and my sister Ann are we're in New York City for the weekend. My sister lived there. And we're walking into our hotel on a Sunday morning, and it's got a revolving door. And as we're entering the hotel, going into the revolving door, the Abby and Brittany were coming out. They were, at the time, 7 or 8 years old. They were little kids. And their mom was already in front of them. The dad was behind them. But, like, I'm in a revolving door. And when you're in a revolving door and someone else is you're going in, they're going out, you can look right at each other across. Mm-hmm. Hey, how you doing?
Oh, yeah.
Well, it was the Hensel twins. And I looked down, I just saw like 2 little girls. And as I looked and they looked, they just both looked up at me. And then I took in what was obvious, it was one body. And it was like my brain just didn't compute what I was seeing. I just thought, what's happening here? Mm-hmm. And as I stepped into the lobby of the hotel, there were probably 20 or 30 people in the lobby. And you could hear a pin drop because they had just walked through, and everybody seeing them for the first time was just the same thing I did. Everyone's like, what am I seeing? It just didn't make sense. It's like your brain does not compute what you're seeing. Yeah. And just that moment alone, and you think about like what their life has been, which is to say every single person that ever encounters them without being told, hey, heads up, this is you're going to see, has that reaction. And they strike me as the most together and phenomenally grounded. And I mean, my God, I feel like that could only go in a bad way, and it's never gone bad for them. And I think they're pretty incredible people.
Yeah, I mean, it's the story has gone the way you would hope it would. It's one of those faith restoring things. You mentioned what people are saying online. That's where we go to lose faith in mankind, and who knows how much of that is bots, and who knows what's really going on in those people's lives. I say, if you get on and say something hateful online, you hate yourself. Mm-hmm. You hate your life. I feel sorry for you. You have some sympathy, and then you see a story like this and go, you know what? Sometimes humanity gets it right. Sometimes, we circle the wagons and we get it right. And for the community that raised them and protected them, for Josh, the husband, that embarked on this journey with them, just the tip of the cap. It just makes me feel good. I'm feeling a little tingly, you guys. What are these called? Goosebumps? Do you guys ever get these when you feel good? It's never happened to me before.
It's to go with it, man. Ride it for as long as you can. It's a pleasant wave.
It's freaking me out.
Pretty great.
Yeah, I'm going to jump online and I don't know, take a shot at a boomer or something.
Go for it. They're waiting for you.
I just might. All right, we're talking. I'm not letting you guys get out of here until we talk about some Easter candy crap. I know it's not nearly as interesting as what we were just talking about, but I'm kind of getting psyched for some Easter candy, which I will not get Sunday morning because we're not celebrating Easter. The kids are gone. But you know when I will eat it? Monday, when I go down to Walgreens and load up an entire cart full of a half-price Easter candy. Our favorites coming up here in just, I don't know, give us about 20 minutes. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line, 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show for March the 29th. The Rolling Stones, Start Me Up, a ball game staple. I mean, It's like they wrote that for the NBA. I remember the first time I went to an NBA game and the jump ball to kick off the game, the first time I heard that, and I was like, oh, this is perfect. These are my worlds coming together, professional basketball and the Rolling Stones. So I'm living at the right time. I think about the fact that I'm a man of my time, and it's thankful. It's a good thing I'm alive now. And I had that thought last night as I watched another episode of my new obsession, Shogun. Because there's at least a moment in every episode where I think to myself, oh, I'd die if that happened to me.
Oh, yeah, no.
That'd kill me.
First of all, I would never get on one of those damn boats where they go sailing out across the ocean on basically, I don't know if you ever jumped on one of those boats. You've been around them, a tourist thing. I was in England, got on that Sir Francis Drive. I'm trying to remember the name of it, but it went around the world. First boat for England to go around the world, came back loaded down with booty. I'm thinking, this thing the size of one of those big Spanish galleons? No, it's like, you see these things out on Minnetonka that are bigger than this boat, and you went around the world with a bunch of dudes pirating ships along the way. No, thank you.
I mean, scurvy is the least of your concerns at that point. You are in the middle of the Pacific Ocean in basically something not that much larger than a Sprinter van.
Right.
What are we thinking?
You go down into the quarters where all the guys slept. I don't know, there's like 30 guys down there, and it's maybe a dorm room and a half, maybe a big walk-in closet in one of those fancy houses, and there's 30 guys down there. There's no windows, there's no ventilation or anything like that. It's all right, here we go around the world. Not to mention, it's an ocean, the great unknown. Most of these guys jumping on these boats and getting on these things were just, they hadn't been off of what we would consider a city block at the time, and you're heading out. And then every place you land, are we going to get killed? Are we going to get eaten? Are we going to get peed on?
I'm way better off.
Boiled?
I'm way better off being around at a time of, like, say, I don't know, Travelocity and the internet. Yeah, much better. Much better for my travel needs.
Right. But then you realize it was so bad on land with the bubonic plague and the wars and everything, famine, I don't know, maybe I would have jumped on the boat. But yeah, just a nutty time to be alive. I like easy street. We
look back and you think to yourself, like, what would George Washington think if you handed him an iPhone? He wouldn't care. He'd say, wait a minute, everybody lives to be at least 72? What? That's what like, go back in time 500 years and tell people, like, hey, there's a 106-year-old nun in France, and they'd look at you like you had 3 eyeballs in your head. Like, what are you telling me? That's the thing. The Rolling Stones, for the record, speaking of elderly
106.
people still alive, still doing it, at 106 years old, they're on the road this year, not in the Minneapolis, St. Paul area. They are in Chicago. I think that's the closest gig they're going to do. That song, Start Me Up, recorded in Paris in 1977 and not released for 5 years because they simply forgot about it.
Whoops.
They were doing so much stuff. It was just in the vaults. Keith was going back over some old tapes years later and was like, what's this one? Hey, that sounds kind of catchy. Maybe we'll put this on the new record. It's always good to have a vault of outtakes, and one of them is Start Me Up. Hey, we were busy. We forgot about it.
We're talking about box sets really start to pour out after the bands break up and go their separate ways. That's when we really start to see the box sets, and they start digging into their archives. Mm-hmm. You realize they're going to be digging into those box sets and archives of the Stones because they keep generating new material. That vault or those vaults or that warehouse just keeps growing. After, it's going to be our children, our grandchildren are going to be going, new Stones album out today. They're a new box set they just dug into the vaults and found. I mean, their new music will outlive us, most likely.
There's going to be, speaking of box sets, next year will be 25 years since my former band, the Black Crowes, we released an album with Jimmy Page, Live at the Greek, where the album is us and Jimmy. We're playing Led Zeppelin songs and a handful of covers. That's what the live album was. Now, on that tour, there were Black Crowes songs performed as well, but we couldn't release them because of contractual record companies not allowing certain songs to be on other companies' product. That's all been cleared up. There's going to be a re-release next year with the Crowes songs included.
Yeah.
Nice.
Which, and I'm like the only guy on earth who goes, who cares? No one came to see the Black Crowes songs. That was my entire focus on that tour was I'm playing In My Time of Dying. What do I care about Remedy? Which I get.
It's got Jimmy on it.
Yeah, I mean, and I get, but I mean, I get it. I'm the only guy on earth that felt that way, but that's what it was. I was like, yeah, that just feels like I'm back at work. This is fun playing Zeppelin stuff, but that's coming out next year. That's kind of cool.
I see there's a Muddy Waters cover on there, y'all. Didn't call. I can't be satisfied. You see where I just slipped into y'all. I didn't even plan that.
I appreciate that.
Talking about the Crowes, I can't be satisfied. A favorite Muddy.
My favorite cover was we did The Shape of Things, and we kind of combined the original Yardbirds version with a later version Jeff Beck did with Rod Stewart. Really, really cool. That was always a lot of fun to play. That was my personal favorite. That was on the actual album that was released. But all that to say, yeah, people still going through the vaults finding things of interest. Baseball started yesterday for the Minnesota Twins with a win over the Kansas City Royals. That puts us on top of the AL Central. and boy, did it start off strong. Royce Lewis, remember him, that young wunderkind for the Twins? Here's his first at-bat of the season.
Changeup. And the 0-2. A swing and a drive into left field and deep. Back it goes and gone! Royce Lewis, welcome to 2024. An 0-2 opening day home run to left. The stage, certainly not too big. The lights, definitely not too bright.
I love nothing more than a home run on an 0-2 pitch. That's just because the pitcher is thinking about it right now.
Yeah, and a breaking ball, and sent it out. I don't know if you're familiar with the new KC Stadium down there, back into the waterfall. Just stroked it. And then you mentioned that this morning. I caught a little bit of the game, just listening to it yesterday as I was tooling around, not much, and did hear the home run. And then you brought it up this morning. I was like, yeah, we'll get some audio of that cooking. Wait a minute, why has he only got 2 at-bats? I'm looking at the box score. What happened to Royce?
Yeah, so anyway, you remember Royce Lewis, the guy with not one but 2 torn ACLs. And quad injuries and hamstring injuries and other things. Second at bat, gets to base. He's on first. Carlos Correa cranks a double, and Royce Lewis is ripping around second because he's going to come in and score from first. But he pulls up short at third now with what is now a right quad injury. The poor kid. I mean, it's really, really upsetting to see a kid with so much talent and so much drive, and by all accounts, such a great guy. And yet again, he starts the season with a home run, and on his next trip to the bags, comes up with a quad injury. It's just terrible. We mentioned earlier we need a leg specialist just for Royce Lewis. Somebody just work on his legs and leave the rest of the team to their own devices. And if that person's Candace who did volunteer, then whatever. Figure it out, man. Let's get this guy's legs. We got to keep this kid in bubble wrap. Got to keep him healthy.
Royce is listening. I know Royce is listening. He heard you this morning. He's thinking, okay, what kind of deep tissue thing can she do? Are we going to do some acupuncture? No, she starts off with, I'm going to shave his legs.
Yeah, well, you got to shave first, always. And then I got, what my secret weapon is?
What's your secret weapon?
A baseball.
As a massaging tool?
Yep. Stay on theme here.
Okay. All right, fair enough. I see you. That's going to work. I'm excited. I'm excited for this new turn in your career. No one saw this coming.
Yeah, no, not even Royce. Yeah, no, I mean, and you don't even feel sorry for yourself as a fan. You're just like, come on, man. It's like Buxton, just what a lovable dude. So much talent. Of course, as a fan, you want to see him out there playing, but every time he comes to bat or tracks something down, they've got him out in center now, and I'm sure he'll do some time on the DH, but hopefully it's nothing too serious, and he'll be back out there before you know it.
I'd be willing to bet that if Royce Lewis hears that Candace Wheeler is coming to work on his legs, he'd be like, is that one of the Richfield girls?
Yeah, one of the Richfield 7.
Opening day, they're always out there? Just like a whole bunch of them? Yeah, cool.
He's going to call his shot. He's going to point for you next Thursday on opening day.
It's going to be so magical. I love the opener.
I know. I'm sorry to cut you off, Candace, because what I was going to say is I couldn't be more charmed for the second year in a row at how excited you are for opening day.
It's my favorite day of the year.
Yeah.
By the way, everybody listening to this, trust me when I say this. This is not radio shtick. That is not a joke. This woman lives for opening day. Can't tell you what the team's record is by July 4th, but boy, I tell you, opening day, she is all on point.
You know what? And I just might this year. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good year.
Learn some of the rules this year. Might make it more fun. No, don't bother. Who cares?
I don't know. It's more fun having no idea what they're doing. Why is that guy running in that direction? Why don't they ever run the other way?
Just score, please.
Do you No, I'm just a dog guy. I mean, that's it. That's all I will eat. Obviously, if someone buys me something else, I will indulge. But because you take it back to your seat, or you get it at your seat and you eat it in the seat. But they come up with all these other kooky things that are delicious out there. I will make an allowance for the Valentini meatball, however. I will enjoy it in my seat. And I'll make a mess of myself. I'll eat it just like a big old apple. But yeah, they've got they have sushi out there and that sort of stuff. And I get it. Hey, man, whatever you want. For me, a baseball game is just about as much what I'm drinking and what I'm eating as the game that's going on, the fresh cut grass, the sun in your eyes, all that good jazz. Yeah, there's
entered well deeply into Gorman family lore. Baseball food story is Uncle Steve in 1992 or 3, like the coolest uncle ever, right? I take my nephew Brian to Camden Yards to see our beloved Baltimore Orioles. He's 8. And I'm like, so I'm going to make sure he has the best time ever. Yeah, he's like, as we're entering the ballpark, can we get some peanuts? Sure, we can get some peanuts, buddy. Yeah. Here's some peanuts and a Coke. Do you want a hot dog? Okay. How about some Twizzlers? Sure. Do you want some M&Ms? Okay. Do you need a cheeseburger in the 7th inning? Yeah, he's 8. He says yes to everything. Yes. He eats everything. And I'm like astonished at this kid's abilities. And I'm thinking, this is great. I mean, he's never going to forget this night. And he hasn't, because we got back to his house and he threw up all over his sister.
Yes, I was just going to say, man, it's kind of like, mixing booze, when you go out, don't drink vodka and whiskey or whatever, that kind of thing. You're going to barf for sure. Yeah, you just had too many variables. And then, of course, there was the volume of food.
Well, the Twizzlers is what topped it off. It's just on top of all that, when you then put like 9 or 10 full-length Twizzlers on top of it, you're asking for all kinds of disaster.
So it gave everything that nice red hue.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
It was an amazing looking puddle of barf. You had everything. That's ballpark barf right there. The girls would go to baseball games with me, but for only one reason, and that was to eat. In fact, they would sit in their seat backwards with their legs crossed, those limber little things, and just sit there and wait for the guys and gals walking up and down this. Dad, here comes all right, we're getting the Cracker Jacks over here, And they were just there to pig out.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It sure is. By the way, speaking of my Baltimore Orioles, the team was sold in the offseason.
Were we?
Well, I was. Well, that's where I took. That's where my kid got sick. New owners in town for the Orioles, and two guys. They're like hedge fund guys, so they're like billionaires, but they're Baltimore natives. They bought the team, lifelong fans. That's who you hope buys your team if you got to get a new owner. Just interestingly, they stood in the ballpark yesterday at the home opener at one of the main entrances, and they just gave beers away to everybody who wanted one. They're like, we're buying everybody a beer.
Beautiful.
You talk about, like, literally, like, yeah, we want you to get better players and boost the roster and write bigger checks, but you're giving away beer? Okay, we love you. That's simple. Boom.
They got him. Maybe if they win another 100 games, and I don't want to bring up a sore spot, but that's good for the hedge fund operators coming in, buying some brews.
Well, it's we're almost out of here for the week, and I know for a lot of us today from noon to 3 we're going to be on our knees with the rosary beads. Oh no, that was just the Gorman family back in the day on Good Friday. True story. So Good Friday, when I was a kid, from noon to 3, we weren't allowed to have fun. We couldn't play. But my mom's thing was like, no, we're going to sit inside. We're going to have a reflective 3 hours. That's representing the 3 hours that Christ was on the cross, right?
Oh, okay.
And that I was used to that. But one year she raised the ante and she said, I would love to ask my mom now, because I know she would tell me the real story. I'm like, what was going on where this made sense to you? Like, what was happening in your life where suddenly you thought you needed this to happen? she said, what we're going to do this year is we're going to say the rosary for 3 hours, and we're all going to do it on our knees.
Oh, Mom.
I was in third grade, maybe. And not only that, on our knees in the living room, which had this really densely packed, hardcore carpet. I don't know what you call it. But it wasn't shag or anything cool. It was like
3 minutes.
It was kind of like as if it was like carpet, but with an added layer of bottle caps. Is what it felt like. And she literally, so this is the 4 youngest Gorman kids. It's 3 boys and my sister Ann. And so I'm like 7. So it's 7, 9, 11, and 13-year-old. And we all kneel and start saying the rosary. And she literally expected us to all do that for 3 hours.
Come on, Mom.
Yeah.
How long did you hang in there?
She
didn't go the full 3.
Nowhere near 5 minutes.
Yeah.
We all almost went crazy. It was like, And I mean, if she had done that, and then if her true plan was to get us to just sit there and do it, that might have worked, because this would have felt better than being on our knees. But she just thought that was going to happen. And we all were freaking out. And it was like, I mean, I remember thinking like, I don't even care if you tell Dad. I don't care. Tell him. I'm not doing
was
this.
She just trying to get you to take it seriously and to think about it a little bit.
I guess so.
Probably didn't expect you to go the 3 hours, but she got your attention in a way that
she got our attention.
Can. Yeah, for sure. Well, they have a way, don't they, Moms?
It probably was. You're right. She probably just wanted to have 3 hours of quiet time, and she knew if she did that, by the time we all fell out and ran away, we would not come near her until at least 4 o'clock.
No, you were gone, man. Yeah.
That was a pretty good move. But then again, a couple days later, it was forgiven because there were baskets full of candy in the house, I'm sure. Number 1 Easter candy of all time. There is a poll. Many, many, many people have weighed in. Anybody want to guess at the top 10, number 1 best Easter candy ever, according to a poll of Americans?
Jelly beans.
Sorry.
What?
Going right to the top of the heap, Reese's peanut butter eggs.
Oh, I'm surprised you didn't get that, Candace.
Well, that's my favorite. I just figured that everyone, jelly beans are. When you think of Easter, you think of everyone in the family dipping their grubby fingers in the jelly bean bowl.
Here's a fun fact about your buddy Steve. I've had Peeps once. I ate one Peep once and swore never again.
Well, yeah. Why? Yeah, because
just I wanted to die. It
you must
made
have
me
taste
sick.
buds.
They're cute, though. They're kind of cute.
I'll spot you kind of cute, but that's where it ends. Have you had one, Candace? Have you put it in your?
I don't like that
they're
stuff.
gooey on the inside. You have to tear it. Like I remember my grandmother, because she saved candy. I'm sure it was like 3 Halloweens old. And if Grandma brought it over, you had to eat. It's like sweet potatoes. I know some people dig them. Or her beets. I think you like them, Steve. And then she always had the worst candy in the world, and that was on Easter. Of course, it was the Peeps, and you would have to try and tear a bite off one like you were, trying to pull apart a leather strap.
Sure.
Yeah.
What about the Cadbury cream egg?
Oh, the Cadbury cream egg.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I will
I'm-
say this: it's kind of. I mean, the Reese's peanut butter egg being number one. It's kind of a cheat code because it just means we love Reese's so much. If they released an Arbor Day, like a tree-shaped Reese cup, that would be
Number
everyone's
one.
favorite Arbor Day candy.
Yeah.
If they had the Nina Pinta and Santa Maria for Columbus Day, you'd be like, "What's your favorite Columbus Day candy?" Reese's Nina Pinta Santa Maria. It just means we love Reese's and we'll use any excuse to eat them more often.
Yeah, I mean, it's right there at the top. I'll never pass it up. But I do see my favorite one on here. It was when I was a kid, and that's the Whoppers Robin eggs. And you would just eat those things until it like developed into a paste in your mouth. It was all over your lips. Pretty soon you couldn't breathe. Yeah, but I loved me some Whoppers Robin eggs.
I've never. Yeah, those are fantastic. I've never heard of bunny corn. Have you?
Stop it. It's a
thing.
Yeah, it's a knockoff of Halloween candy corn. They're just trying to repurpose it. Stop it with the candy. Although I think, Tony, you like that sugary wax, don't you?
I like candy corn. Yeah,
you do.
Yeah, you gotta mix them with peanuts.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
Wait, candy corn and peanuts? I've never even heard of
In
that.
the same bowl, you mix them up and they're delicious.
I don't like the textures. I don't like the wax. I know.
I think that could make sense. You ever put peanuts in your Coke?
Nope.
That's a thing down south. People put a handful of peanuts into a glass of Coke.
So all those Southern fellas doing it when I was in the service, we'd look at them like, you crazy sons of bitches. No wonder you lost the war. Peanuts in your Coke.
Now, you just hang on a second. That's because you guys had all them immigrants. You had Irish and German conscripted soldiers in there, and we didn't stand a chance. And plus, we'd never had cherries, and that damn diarrhea at Gettysburg is what swung it.
That damn diarrhea at Gettysburg.
If Robert E. Lee, God bless his sainted soul, had listened to Longstreet, you'd be speaking with a Southern accent yourself there, Brian.
Bring it, Johnny Reb. Bring it.
I don't want to get started on the war of northern aggression, but if you open that door, boy, I'll run right through it.
Yeah, and you get your ass whooped.
I grew up in a town that is 5-6 miles removed from the Jefferson Davis Monument. Do you know what the Jefferson Davis Monument is? It's a monument that looks exactly like the Washington Monument in Washington, but it's in honor of the President of the Confederate States of America, Jefferson Davis.
The guy that hightailed it out of there.
Yeah, he was born in Fairview, Kentucky, and to this day, there is, and it's farm country, and you're driving along, and you look up and go, what, is that the Washington Monument? I can see it here in Kentucky, and no, it's not. It's the same thing, but it's for Jefferson Davis, and you can see it for miles away because there's nothing but corn between you and that monument. And it always blows my mind. I'm like, that's still there, huh? We're still honoring the guy who was the president of the country that tried to destroy this country. Huh.
Probably just like one vote short of having it dozed over. You know, they're hanging in there, but they're losing votes. I think sooner or later, or just rename it, Washington Jr. I don't even know if you probably can't even do that anymore. I don't know. Name it the Steve Gorman Monument.
Why not? I mean, if they did that, I'd go up there every year on my birthday and hand out, peeps that I wouldn't eat otherwise. Birthday peeps. Let's look back. It's March 29th. Oh, baby. In 1982, Dean Smith, the legendary coach of the University of North Carolina Tar Heels, finally got his first national championship. He had been to 6 Final Fours and was 0 for 6. Goose eggs by the half dozen, if I remember correctly. And it was freshman Michael Jordan who delivered him his salvation by hitting an 18-footer with a few seconds on the clock to win the game over Georgetown, 63-62. Dean Smith was out from under. He got the monkey off his back with a national title. Michael Jordan was christened at that very moment as, oh, God, I think this guy is going to be pretty good. On the same day, 2 years later, Robert Irsay became the greatest villain in Baltimore, Maryland history, which, if you know anything about Baltimore, Maryland history, it really says a lot. He had his team, the Baltimore Colts, packed up and moved under cover of darkness. The team literally fled the city and the state before the governor of the state could issue a "you aren't allowed to do that" order. They literally tried to catch them before they hit the border. Moved the Colts out of town without telling anybody he was going to do it. When the sun rose, a bunch of Mayflower trucks were in Indianapolis, and from that moment forward, I have hated nothing in life more than the Colts football team. I hope they lose every game they ever play forever. On this day in 2004, the National Hockey League approved the sale of the Atlanta Thrashers, and the city's collective response was, wait a minute, we have a hockey team? Wait, we have new owners? We didn't know we have a team. The NHL 2 times has tried to make a run in Atlanta, Georgia. You had the Atlanta Knights back in the day.
Yeah.
And if you remember, they drafted Jim Craig, the Olympic hero, the goalie, and that wasn't enough to get people to the games. And then later they moved off, and then the Atlanta Thrashers showed up. I don't think they ever had a game even close to a sellout. And here's the weird thing. In the 90s, there was an AHL team called the Atlanta Knights, and they sold out the Omni every game. It's just a city built for minor league hockey for some reason.
Yeah. Those minor league teams get that cult following, and it builds over years, and they do all the kooky things and the promotions, and the tickets are a hell of a lot cheaper, and so is the concessions. That doesn't necessarily surprise me in a non-hockey town there south of the Mason-Dixon.
Yeah, it was really weird. Those Knights games were a blast, and then you'd go see the Thrashers, and it was just dead. I never quite understood that.
Get the KQ Morning Show podcast wherever you listen. 92 KQRS.